Okay, we're pressing record.
All right, so previously, Sully forgot to talk about shit, and we didn't hit record. So we've been bullshitting about Sin City.
I was trying to wait for a place to lean in and press record. I'm just wondering where the chat is going.
Oh God! So we've just been bullshitting for like the past 10 minutes or so.
Dude, I'm your host, Sully, and here I am once again with Oreo, and once again the Marvel movie minutes, Kevin.
What's up, bitch?
Been warming up, talking about Kick-Ass, the Punisher, somehow, as we do, and
a man that's not on fire,
and a man that's not on fire
at any point.
And I found out there's a comic book called Kangaroo Man.
What the fuck?
I'm not making this up. He eats fire, so that is why he came up in searches. But we were joking about how every other person is the Punisher, but that's not what we're talking about ultimately tonight. We are talking ultimately about the best DC Comics moments, like just in either the comic strips themselves, the shows, the movies. And still waiting on the ultimate Lex Luthor moment, because other than those final seasons of Smallville, Lex Luthor is grossly ignored.
Oh yeah, he's like literally. So I saw Smallville,
kind of like how I don't like most versions of John Connor in those Terminator movies. I kind of just want more threatening versions of Lex Luthor. I ultimately want to get that in cartoons, but I don't.
What did you think about Terminator Salvation?
I thought
I like the director's cut.
Yeah, me too. I love that fucking film.
It has its moments. I think Anton Yelchin did a good job.
Just take out the Transformers moments at the bit, and everyone would have fun with it. But I know what you mean. Where
it had bits that were fun.
But I always wished. I know they did a Superman crossover, and if I recall correctly, I think they did imply that Lex Luthor created Skynet.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
If there's also another good crossover for Terminator, it's with Transformers, and that one has a hell of a plot twist to it. I love that shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I actually just looked it up, and we can definitely talk about that special, because I mean, who doesn't like cyborg warfare? Speaking of it, Cyborg was just amazing. Growing up watching the Teen Titans cartoon.
And in the comics, he gets turned into a fucking whipping boy and shit. Like, seriously, every fucking major arc of DC, that boy is the poster child for sacrifice. And I hate that.
That's awful.
It sucks.
That's
fucking
because he was so sacrificed. Cool to where it's like, why sacrifice him? He's
it's like kill him off or don't do
it. I wouldn't want him to be sacrificed or killed off. Like, keep him around. Teen Titans in the 4-hour Justice League showed how cool he is.
Yes, that. Oh god.
Like, I watched that movie. I was like, there's a certain point I was like, I'm watching this for the cyborg stuff, man. I mean, everybody else is here and they're awesome too, but I'm watching this mostly for his story. Past a certain point in that film, it's like, wow, he really was. Zack Snyder was right. He really is the heart of this movie that they just ripped out entirely in the 2-hour version of it.
Yeah. But Justice League.
I'll say. It's like the guiltiest guilty pleasure of mine, but I know it's really bad. I know it's not good.
Yeah, it's decent, but not anywhere near.
Oh, which one?
Yeah, like the Justice League. Like I think it's like a 2.5 out of 5. Man, like, look, it's your like traditional let's get the superheroes together and fight a bad guy movie.
Yeah,
there's nothing super special about it. There are moments of unintended hilarity in it, but like, look, this is mostly
have a lot of fun with this one, but I think it's because
I dig it. Like,
the villain is better realized in this new version.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I like that we got to see Henry Cavill play the lighter version of Superman.
some of the acting still isn't 100% in most areas, but it still looks legit like they want to march into battle together. And I can measure it up again to the at least Avengers 3's perspective of, hey, let's be like, again, every other 80s movie, every other epic film, and let's have them kick some ass together.
Yeah, it works on that level. Like, let's watch a bunch of guys kick some ass together.
But I love how ZSGL just expanded. It's so fucking good. I was like, oh, this is so good.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if they hadn't had like the 25 minutes of extra like teases for movies that weren't happening, I think if you cut that movie down to like 3 hours and just get rid of a bunch of like little tiny things here and there, you'd have like a really amazing superhero movie in there. As is, it's still really, really, really good.
It's amazing.
As is, it's really good.
Here, man.
It's my favorite of the 3 movies that he made in the DC universe, because I felt like it was a good marriage between, all right, this is what I want to do, and also he answered some of the criticisms that I had with these too. It's like, all right, it's slightly lighter in tone. There's a little bit more humor in here. There are more character moments being given to us. I feel like I have a better understanding of who these people are.
Mm-hmm.
And I care about them more because of that. And so when the fighting starts, I'm more engaged with it because I know who's fighting and what they're fighting for.
Yeah, and that shit unfolds just like every major arc I've read for DC that I enjoyed. It felt like I was watching the Dark Side War come to life, which I got to reread actually because that was a good fucking arc.
Yeah, and it's like in my review for, like I said, it's like I wrote my review for that, like similar to Sin City. I feel like this is another movie that feels like a moving comic book watching it.
Yeah.
Like, almost every shot in that movie looks to me like a comic book panel does.
Yes, that's what he did so well.
And the thing, like when I realized that he was doing that, like I saw people complain about all the slow-mo. I'm like, yeah, okay, I see it, but the shots that he's doing it on, most of them are really striking images. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I can go with this whole thing of you're like giving me the illusion of watching a comic book play out.
Yes.
And like there are scenes in the movie that aren't shot like that. Like there are scenes where people are just talking to each other, where it's shot relatively normally. So it's not like every single shot is like that. So yeah, I was able to go with it. Like I enjoyed it. They answered most of the problems that I had with the previous movies, with the tone and the lack of just kind of humanity and levity. So I had a pretty good time up until like the last 25 minutes of setups for movies that we knew weren't happening. I'm like, don't do this. You were almost there, and then you just had to go and do this. Still a good movie. That bit won't sit well with me personally, but I know a lot of people who enjoy all that stuff. Like I get it. It wasn't for me. Like those bits weren't for me. I was like, oh no, at 3.5 hours you've got me totally sold, and then you had to go and do that. I'm like, to each their own.
True. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And like I get it, like a lot of people won't enjoy it. One of the biggest issues people have was how long it was. I'm like, dude, you've never watched a Robert De Niro flick, have you?
Oh yeah, like Goodfellas, like in the length of it, I get why the length of it's an issue. Like I understand that. Like I do appreciate that they do split it up into little sections that are like 45 minutes. So I'm like, all right. It's a little bit strange the first couple times they do it, but it does help break it up. If you read comics,
you're used to that because they have the volumes.
Yeah, it helps break it up a little bit. So like, I can watch this chunk now or whatever. And even on the DVD, which I own the DVD of it. Nice. And I'm like, I was like, look, I like this enough to get a thing of it. I own all of the DCU movies at this point, except for Wonder Woman 84, which I'm waiting for the price to go down on that. But it's like, I enjoy it. I'll watch it probably like once a year, just for like a big, huge comic book thing.
And people who don't have streaming, I definitely, if I had to get them started on a show that I think they would like, I would definitely buy probably a remaster of animated Justice League or Batman, or even one of the more recent shows like Gotham or Pennyworth.
Oh yeah,
you're gonna have a lot of fun with, especially the latter, because there's just always 70s classic rock blaring while there's some fun espionage type stuff happening.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Gotham as it was airing, and I was in college when most of when Gotham
same here
airing.
too. I couldn't keep up with it. It was very apparent to me. Oh, but they've found something kind of special.
Well, yeah, I dug. I mean, yeah, I remember being a little bit cynical about like, what are we gonna? It's just gonna be Batman
What's going on?
Crime drama. And then I saw the way we were doing it. I'm like, you know what? This is weird and cool and very inconsistent, but it's so kind of out of left field a lot of the time that I'm gonna stick around and see where it goes. I feel like I view that show as like a love letter to every version of Batman that's ever existed, because there are some parts of it. Because there are some parts of that show that are very dark and very serious, and there's some parts of it that are just goofy and so dumb in a good way. But like, yeah, Batman is all of these things, and you captured that.
Well, not everything Batman, though.
Not everything. I mean, they didn't even need Batman on this damn Gotham show.
Okay, and then like when they brought him out, they brought him out in his costume. I was like, oh, yeah, you tried.
That's the fun thing, though. Yeah. Like, there's more to Batman than just him himself. Like, you have Gotham, you have everybody he's affiliated with, and how they're affected by him.
Yeah,
and all that shit. And it's so important to capture everything, not just the main motherfucker. It's everybody around him that's important too.
Yeah, and I think that's what I liked about Gotham ultimately. Like, that's what I drew to love, was like, it's nice to see a Batman show that's about everything around him, like, you know, how corrupt the city is, and how Jim Gordon is actively trying to make it better, and all of his adversaries kind of coming into their own. Like, I love the Riddler arc that they gave him. Like, he probably had the best arc on the show for me, of like this little nebbish, nerdy guy who became a full-on psychopath. And you know, Penguin too. I forget the actor's name, but whoever they got to play him was like really perfect at capturing that mania of the character as he was written.
Yeah, I mean, Penguin was definitely well realized here, because they're actually mixing in some of his vibrant nature mixed in with, you know, he's basically a thug, you know, but
yeah,
and then some. Like,
yeah, I mean, I thought that like the villains on that show I thought most of them were pretty well realized, like fun, wacky characters, to the point at some moments where when it would cut back to Jim Gordon inside the GCPD, I'd be like, okay, what's Mad Hatter doing?
Yeah, what is he doing?
Well,
he's being mad about his hats.
Yeah, and then I probably
new era.
And then probably like my favorite bit of Gotham trivia is like the fact that they had Cameron Monaghan playing the Joker unofficially for so long, and just that they got away with it without anybody at Warner Brothers noticing they were violating their contract. I felt like he managed to make it his own and not feel like a copy or a pastiche of previous iterations.
I think they're totally going for that. They don't want to, you know.
Wasn't that the same time he was on Shameless?
Yeah, it was. I was watching Shameless. I was watching Shameless at that point, and when I realized it was him, my jaw dropped on the floor. But I was like, wow, I cannot believe this is the same actor.
Who would have known? Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta finish that show too. Shit.
There's so much stuff to finish, and
I know. I made a whole
there really isn't
list.
any rush. Like it will always be here, but I see so many. It's just easier if you get it all out of the way. But then I see people doing the whole. They're starting up. Like you were talking about this before, like, oh, like we were talking about people who refused to go back and see what it was before this versus that. It was like,
That's
there wasn't
the dumbest
always
thing to say.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
there wasn't always a professional, well done version of Captain America before you got here.
Yeah.
Captain America was kind of a joke, kind of a
or like
patriotic symbol.
Like or another. I think Star Trek is another example of that, where it's like
Star Trek in today's world, is it mindless or is it thought provoking?
You have all the fans like little new tracks. I'm like, where the fuck up?
And the thing for me is like my introduction to Trek was the start of that whole new Trek thing. Like Star Trek 2009 was the first bit of Trek I ever saw.
And you're not the only one. We encountered people who do that with Mission Impossible, and then they go back and they're like, I want to see what my great granddad or father was watching when I was a young one.
And the thing is, like, I haven't seen any of the newer shows yet. Like, I saw 2009, and then a few years passed. And then I started seeing people talk on Twitter like how good Star Trek is.
No, it's fine. There's no much like whatever version of Marvel or DC you've been introduced to, and I see people who do that. They're like, and they're so like typical nerds. They are so angry that no one knows how they're feeling. Is like, it doesn't matter. That's your experience. It's not going to be the same as this person. Oh, I know.
That's right.
Well, no. If you know, then there's nothing to be said.
Exactly.
Just
it's
chill.
Like if you're the type you want to share that experience with somebody else, that's understandable. Don't force it on somebody who doesn't want
to. And like remakes of popular 80s shows,
movies, movies. It's like
they still have this new version of Magnum. I couldn't get into it, but
I'm not watching.
It's going to be on for probably 5 more years, and people are going to keep watching it.
I mean,
they did a new thing for Quantum
like
Leap.
This awful version.
I've heard there's a Quantum Leap show that's come out. I've heard people kind of mixed on it.
I saw a few minutes of it, but I didn't care for it.
It's whatever, but I remember just like there's a new version of Hawaii Five-0. There's a new
or Equalizer, or like there's a new Equalizer that's been on for 3 years apparently. Like I remember when that premiered. I mean,
that show was an actual thing. Yeah,
I remember. I was like, oh yeah, they're doing Queen Latifah's The Equalizer now. Okay, cool. And when I think The Equalizer, I just think of Denzel Washington.
Yeah, me too.
So I was like, okay.
That's what I'm also finding interesting too, is I see some people act like all remakes are bad, and then they don't realize how half the movies that they've watched are remakes of movies or TV pilots. And I'm like, just ask that they do a decent version of whatever character they are representing. Like, yes. So Equalizer is definitely a perfect example of you can enjoy the 80s show, you can enjoy this current show, and you can enjoy the Denzel Washington movies. They have no chronology or connection.
They're connected, but not super connected.
Yeah, and the thing like the first place
until they pull a cinematic universe and they have them.
Denzel Washington
that shit is what's killing movies today.
Like, Denzel Washington just walks into Queen Latifah's office like, "Hey, what's up?"
Right.
And then this whole thing. I think this whole thing of everybody wanting to have a cinematic universe is kind of with comic book properties. I get it because you've got comic.
It was cool when it was like naturally done, like it was like with every other movie or show has like a SVU or a St. Elsewhere hospital, and it's like, okay, that's fine.
Something
and then
like
there was
that.
Valverde country that's in Die Hard, Alien, and Predator. I'm like, okay, that's cool too. But don't do like you say, like incessant crossover. Like that's what they.
Like the crossover,
that Universal Classic Monsters reboot that almost happened.
The Monsterverse.
I'm so glad it didn't happen because everyone they were trying to connect and cast as whatever
it's monsters. I saw the cast picture. You got like Tom Cruise is not the Mummy, but the lead guy in the Mummy. You've got Russell Crowe playing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde,
which is pretty cool.
Well, that
he
that
did
was
good
cool.
with the role, but he was let down by that awful script and
yeah,
CGI
he was.
and...
Like I've seen that. I saw that movie and I was like, wow, poor Russell Crowe.
Everyone was so confused because it just looked like he was still just in a Mission Impossible, just running around everywhere.
Oh yeah,
and he apparently rewrote the whole thing.
I liked the movie. It's all right. It's not the best. It's all right. It's really good. It's better than Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Oh yeah, I'll agree with that. Like I saw Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Everyone has a bad sequel eventually, but
you know what? I remember. So I've been reviewing movies like since 2005. I distinctly remember I went to go see Tomb of the Dragon Emperor when it came out. I was like, what was that, like 2008? So I was 13 years old at that time. I am the prime demo for that movie. And I come out of that movie saying, yeah, that movie kind of sucked. Like
that was me when I went to see Twilight. Man. No, check this shit out. I listened to the audiobook for Twilight and I liked it. The first book was good. It was excellent. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, they're making a movie of it too.
I couldn't read anything by Stephanie Meyer, and I was in women's lit. I was reading all kinds of James Patterson trashy novels and all this shit, and I was just like, what? You can't even complete a basic sentence. Man, but I get it. It's kind of like an actual vampire. It kind of got its spell on people. I get it.
Well, I remember.
What would you call it?
I mean, my funny story is Twilight. My funny story with Twilight is like, so again, I'm like this 2008, so I'm 13 years old, and I see that there's a vampire movie out, and I check on IMDb. It's like for some violence. So I'm like, all right, it's gonna be a violent vampire movie. Let's go. And
let's go, man.
Me and my family, and like I had seen people in my school reading the book, and I'm like, all right, so it's a popular book. So so me and my family get in the car and we head over to the theater, and I get in there and I look around and I'm surrounded by like 13-year-olds and their moms and their grandmothers, and I'm just, and my 13-year-old brain is like, this is a vampire movie, right? Like, I mean, okay,
am I at the right movie? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, am I in the right place? And then, we're sitting there. So, and none of us have read the book at this point, so we don't know where this is going. So we're sitting there, and we have that first shot of Robert Pattinson walking in the cafeteria, and the music swells, and all the girls are like, and I'm looking at him like, is that kid from Harry Potter 4?
Wow.
And then,
I love you.
and then like 20 minutes later, so after like somebody gets into a car accident, so Carlisle, the dad, comes onto the screen, and the entire theater erupts into hysteria at the sight of this 40-year-old man. And we're all looking at him going, and me and my family looking at him going like, well, what's the big deal? Like, he's an adult. Like, huh? Why are y'all swooning over this guy? So yeah, that was my family's Twilight experience. We went to go see it, and
see it with them.
I was so disappointed with that.
Oh no, it was fun. Oh no, it was.
And then they re-released movies like Near Dark, and they would redesign their posters so it looked like
Twilight. Oh, they did.
And it's like, you bastards.
That's. Did Catherine Bigelow do that? Was she the one who did Near Dark?
She did Near Dark, but this was by Catherine Hardwicke,
Catherine Hardwicke, right.
Being a production designer, and the way she shoots stuff, I can't get into.
Well, the way, honestly, to me, the first Twilight movie, it looks like an Evanescence music video. Or no,
exactly.
It looks like
it looked like it was filmed underwater in foggy water.
There's one specific cover for there's an Evanescence album cover that has the exact same color palette as the first Twilight movie.
Haunted.
And it's like, is that it? It's haunted? Okay.
Yeah.
When I saw it, because I remember
it's haunted.
It's haunted. So every time I watch Twilight,
You think Evanescence?
I think Evanescence in the early 2000s.
We love you, Amy Lee. We hope you watch this shit.
we inspired the look of our movie was inspired by your album.
That's
yeah, like I listened to the book
nutty.
for Twilight, and I was excited.
Yeah,
and
I go
coming
watch
soon to NBC, Justice for Twilight. One fan who fought for the ultimate version of his trashy novel, and he still couldn't get the right version.
No, I was just so surprised they dumbed it down.
Oreo Brewer.
Well, and look, when I remember,
Kevin Thomas.
I read
NBC this fall.
I remember I read the first I read those books up until about halfway until the fourth one.
Halfway.
So and that's the thing. Like, what I was as I was reviewing the films, I was gonna be like, I tried to be like, I'm gonna read these books in preparation and try to compare them.
Yeah,
and then I got because I want to be informed about what I was watching.
You want to know what's about to be adapted.
Yeah, I want to know like, all right, what's here, what's
not.
World? Yeah.
Do you think most people should do this before a comic book adaptation anyway, or should they at least watch a cartoon?
I think that
version of it.
I think it helps. I mean, that's something that I'm kind of
because you could watch there's various versions to be introduced to like we were talking with Marvel how there was some great video games and the Spider-Man and Ultimate Avengers.
Spider-Man PS1.
Spider-Man Web of Shadows is really fun.
Web of Shadows was fun, definitely. But there was Ultimate Avengers where they had movie versions of inspired by
the actors
X-Men played and
it's I think growing up watching some of those Marvel cartoons, it served as a good introduction to those characters and just got me interested in
how
superheroes.
Superman and Wolverine are kind of almost like any one in Highlander where they'll respawn, reheal depending on how bad the damage is. They can't do it by themselves. That's why people like them. And then
I remember I played I have the X-Men Origins Wolverine Uncaged edition for my 360.
Nice.
And that is again, that was a movie that my 13-year-old self liked. I don't know why, but he did. My 28-year-old self does not like that movie at all. But the game is good, though.
There's an unrated version. There's an extended cut for X-Men Origins Wolverine. I cannot find it anywhere.
Is? Okay.
Yes.
I could have sworn there was as well.
I'd like to see that.
It's listed on Amazon, but I can't find it anywhere. I can't even find one
version.
Yeah. Man, I see that movie feels like a movie that screams for an extended version because it's
I'm seeing a German Blu-ray.
Oh god!
X-Men Origins Wolverine in German. But no, it's I grew up playing the Spider-Man movie license games. Spider-Man 2002 was on constant playthrough on my GameCube. I got that death screen and that sad music so many times because my gameplay style was very much I'm going to rush in there and kill everything. And sometimes that doesn't work these games. And so I had I had to learn to just take things one step at a time and and just know that look, this floor is going to drop in 5 seconds or wait until this thing swings back or hop over this guy. And it was a bunch of trial and error with me for a while.
Yeah. I remember Constantine, the video game. That was pretty cool.
Final Fantasy?
No, Constantine.
They made a Constantine game?
Yeah.
Yeah, based off the movie.
No, I didn't see the movie until I was in college. Again, a friend recommended it to me, and I was like,
that movie.
Another thing, I dug it too. I had heard for years this movie sucked, and I watched it what sucks about it?
It was hard for me to get into at first, and I think that's just it. I think it was just and I see this as a fan of Francis Lawrence in general. You know, I am Hunger Games free. And it's like, okay. So it's a matter of, it's just kind of like, I mean, I think what everyone was pretty much praising about that one at first was, hey, we're expecting a Matrix type movie, so we're kind of getting that, and we got some cool visuals and all that. But I think after a while, I think people started eventually taking it in kind of like they would any other kind of supernatural terror kind of movie, like Wishmaster, The Prophecy.
I think the main problem was people were expecting superhero, because
it's not.
Yeah, it's not. It's not even
like
that.
You get a similar kind of take, kind of like Spawn,
it's more
Blade,
anti-hero,
or even Hellboy in a way. It's kind of like,
if I had to compare it to anything, I would compare it to the Hellboy movies, that's
why I do the Wishmaster comparison as well. It's like one minute they're funny, and the next minute they're fighting all these supernatural evils. You can accept it as either camp or as serious, but either way, it's doing what it needs to do.
I was able to take Constantine relatively seriously, just because I felt like it respected my intelligence. Like there's a scene in that where John Constantine is seeing a doctor, and he says it shows an image on a screen. It's like, oh, you have cancer, and that's the implication. He walks out of the room. We don't need to be told it. Mm-hmm. And I respected it for that. I'm like, okay, you're treating me like an adult, and you're using visual storytelling. Like film's a visual medium, and Francis Lawrence understands that. And then there's some ridiculous stuff like Keanu Reeves sitting in the tub with a cat. It's like, okay, you get your one little goofy moment in there.
I think that's just it. I think there was a little editing, and I don't know how much of that was studio interference versus just needed a little more insight, because that's just it. It was a little too weird for most audiences, but I think that's why it came in at the right time, because then by home video standards, then everyone was willing to just give everything extra time and effort. And that was when blogs were becoming a thing, and then people were like, okay, now everybody gets a second chance now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, like you go on Twitter now and you see like John Carter has a
is
very
like the number one Netflix movie, and then there's all these other ones.
John Carter. And the thing, I saw John Carter when it came out, and I thought it was okay. Like I've tried to watch it a few more times. Movie. Oh, we're just not going to agree on anything tonight. Oh.
Give it time.
I've tried to
I see both sides of it. It is kind of like a Flash Gordon Buck Rogers thing, and
I like Bryan Cranston in the movie. I'll say that.
Well, it's funny you bring it, that is a good contrast, because like I showed that to some. I went to see that with one of my aunts and my sister. They liked it, and I showed it to my folks, and they thought it was lame. And my dad was the same one who just loved predictable stuff like Avatar.
Did you know?
I found it interesting how it was that divided. And it's
Did you know that the Millennium Falcon makes an appearance in John Carter?
Really?
I know it appears in Star Trek First Contact. They reused the CGI model, just kind of like how.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, Kevin. It's kind of like how the visual effects company that worked on Firefly worked on the new Battlestar, so they would reuse the Serenity ship as a spaceship carrier. It's interesting seeing this, because it's just a ha Easter egg for.
Yeah, I mean I prefer that kind of Easter egg where you actually have to look for it instead of them just like handing it out to you.
And I missed that egg the first time through.
I mean,
and I was like, oh. It's when Deja takes John to the chamber, and there's that wide shot of the chamber outside, and the front of it is the Falcon.
Okay, and
I was like, oh, okay, so the Falcon crashed on Mars.
And also, speaking of that, like the lead actor who plays John Carter, I just started. So again, I think
he does better in supporting. I'll give you that. I knew what the character needed, but they didn't. It's kind of like with Alexander Skarsgård in that dumb
Battleship
movie. No, well, that too, but it was the same kind of thing where it was
you leave Battleship alone.
You leave Battleship alone.
I saw Battleship too, and I accepted it for what it was. Like I was just like, look,
they said the word.
It's an alien movie. I get it, but yeah,
Do you know?
I just started watching Friday Night Lights again because I'm Mr. Late to every popular show that exists.
Oh, join the club.
And dude, I won't watch Big Bang Theory, so fuck that shit.
What if they? Yeah,
I'm a pretty bad show.
The Friday Night Lights.
I get why people like it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I've tried. I like Penny on Big Bang Theory because she's the only normal person. Like she's the only like straight man in the entire group.
She and the Shelly guy are like the only ones that like went on and had a career afterwards.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, but yeah, I just started watching Friday Night Lights, and the lead guy and John Carter's in it, and yeah, I agree with you. Like in a supporting role where the whole thing isn't like shouldered on him, he's good. And he's also good in that American Assassin movie that nobody saw with Dylan O'Brien.
You're gonna really love him in The Terminal List, which
he's in The Terminal List too.
Right, okay. And it was one of those. It's not getting attention because Chris Pratt's politics and everything, but it's a pretty solid show by itself.
Oh yeah, I started watching it. It's a good show. Like it's a good show.
It is interesting how all this stuff that we've all been mentioning, it all takes a giant turn, and it needs to kind of get reevaluated when it gets reevaluated. But it's also intriguing in that we're having to remind people, don't go in with all this prejudice, all this bias, all these expectations, all this stuff that isn't fleshed out yet, or you just got to let it sink. So like I'm cool with letting stuff kind of just inflate after a while before I watch it. I don't watch it when it's just raw and it's just come out, because
like I'm doing that with The Last of Us. It's like I decided not to watch it until the season was I decided to wait until like the season was out, because I'm seeing everybody every week go like, OMG guys, this episode made me cry.
It's so good.
And it's like,
it's great, or it's the worst and it's not even over yet. I'm like, you can wait.
I can't watch this. She's ugly.
Well, and the fuck up. That's the thing. Like when I saw people,
assholes
when I saw people critiquing the actress like that, I was like, one, she's a 13-year-old girl, so your views on how she looks shouldn't matter at all. It's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, and there's some of them you can tell are just angry gamers that shouldn't ever be allowed to watch a movie ever. But
it's like, it's just like okay, so I watched half the pilot episode.
Just like there were people who went to the Dark Knight and they thought, oh, it's not going to be violent. I'm like,
what? People went to the Dark Knight and they was violent.
And then see those reports, they were just crazy. It was just like
that's so stupid. It's a
how do you not know?
Action. It's a PG-13 Batman movie.
Oh, people don't look at ratings. That much is clear.
Well, I want to know. I want to know if somebody took their kids to go see Infinity Pool.
No, really. I think there's an increase in that, dude. Because like I have had friends and family to go, and they're so surprised, even though the rating is in both the trailer and they say
and online.
Just don't pay attention.
Oh no, I remember like my sister and I went to go see the Batman last year.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
We both loved it. Like my sister doesn't read comic books. She doesn't do games. Like she's not a superhero person. She loved the Batman.
Nice.
And at the end of it, she looked at me and she said, "I love that, but it had to be like R-rated, right?" And I was like, "She's like, no, I thought that was R."
I wished it was R. It was supposed to be R, but then they scaled it back.
The way it opened, I was like, this is like, I'm not gonna say up to 7th level because 7's a little bit more like gross, But I'm like, this is pretty intense for a PG-13 superhero movie.
No.
Like, I kind of dig how far they did go. It's like it's dancing on that edge of an R rating.
Much blood as you need. It just can't be like splat.
It can't look like Evil Dead 2. Otherwise, it's
it can't explode.
Oh yeah, it was just insane how much they got away with in that movie. I'm like, this is the highest PG-13 I've seen in 5 years.
And it's the first Batman film where his identity isn't revealed.
Really? Oh wow!
Yes,
I didn't realize that. Also, I see. The other thing is, a level I appreciated on was like, I appreciate all the Batman movies that have been made.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But something yes, even that one, I appreciate that one as the campy, ridiculous thing that it is.
Mr. Freeze.
Dr. Freeze. But yeah, like
you leave him alone.
There you go. Yeah, we start.
But what I appreciate about what I appreciate about the Batman was that it was the first Batman movie where it was actually about Batman being a detective and trying to solve a crime.
That grounded aesthetic, Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah, Well, yeah, it was grounded. I was like, okay, good. We're actually, I liked that it wasn't. I appreciate like Bruce Wayne's barely here when he is. I mean. And it took me a while to warm up to how he was playing Bruce Wayne, because when he first takes his mask off, I was looking at my sister like, I don't know if this is gonna work. And then it was like, oh no, it's working.
Yeah, that's like when I went to see Joker, and I was sitting there, and I was having a great time watching that shit. And a couple actually walked out 30 minutes in.
Oh, really?
I'm like, dude, real.
And Joker
30 minutes is definitely not enough for any movie. I don't care how bad it is. Like,
Joker...
will often. There's only been like maybe 2 just obscure, like dull, like apocalyptic movies I've seen in theaters that I wanted to. I'll spare everyone the details, but like where I was like, I must leave right now. But I also know that figuratively, when you have to review it, eventually you basically still gotta just suffer through it just so you can give a reaction,
a review.
You never know. Sometimes it gets better in the last 10 minutes, but you don't know until you know.
I've only in about 15 years of reviewing things, I've only walked out of something willingly once, and even then I waited until like the very last scene of the movie to do it. So I gave it like the full time. Like it was the 2018 Overboard. I just was sitting there. It wasn't funny. I wasn't liking any of the characters. They remade Overboard.
I don't remember that at all.
See, it was bad.
It was really bad.
Wait, like, who was in it?
Anna Faris and that guy from the Dora the Explorer movie. What's his name?
Danny?
No.
Anyway, so
whatever. But yeah,
everyone has a new version of something, but it just when it gets to
it was just not making me laugh at all, and I wasn't liking anything about it. And then they did something at the end where I was like, you guys don't even understand the point of this story whatsoever. And so I just walked out. It was like the very last scene of me. Like the guy was making the kids their lunches. I'm like, all right, I've seen enough. I walked out. I just dropped my pup on the floor. Like, I'm out of here. I've sat here for the entire movie. I'm done.
But yeah, and it sucks too when you gotta remind everyone, hey, you don't have to. You're gonna have to watch some of these movies and shows a few different times just to
absorb
get it figured out. Absorb it.
And I can do that. Like I just bought Cloud Atlas a couple days ago.
I love that movie.
It's so great, right?
I've actually, and here's the thing, like for a year now, one of my Twitter followers has been telling me like how much he loves that movie, and so I saw it at a thrift store, and I'm like, I'm just gonna pick it up. And so I'm planning to watch it probably sometime this week.
And it's amazing. 3 years later, now there's no physical media at any of these gas stations or what have you. And it's just like a red box, but There's nothing better than just seeing a thrift store, seeing everything from a Criterion channel, Blu-ray to all kinds of just. Wow, someone really did not appreciate this. And this is like I saw $50 item.
At the same thrift store, I got like Star Trek 6 on Blu-ray. I saw like, nice. Why did you give this up? I mean, thank you, but I'm taking it.
If you go to Entertain Mart or whatever have you, you'll be like spending $20 to $40, something ridiculous. They pull so many numbers out of their asses. DVD, Blu-ray stores. So thrift stores is the way to go because basically you know instantly how much you're willing to spend, and even if it's not 100%, you can at least go with it because you're just like, okay, well, give or take, I take it. This is worthwhile because again, I got a number on this, and you can find so many other good deals at places like that.
Thrift stores are like one of my favorite places to go just to see like, all right, what did people give up? That
this day in history, someone gave up.
Someone, it's just like, it's just like, oh wow, somebody gave up Star Trek 6 and it's actually in good condition. I just enjoy thrift stores.
But altogether, I mean, if you had to just like get some other just top DC comics that you recommend everyone get, I know there's been various ones, including the earlier Bob Kane, Batman. What are some compilations you recommend people read?
I would recommend reading Batman Venom, because that's a hell of an arc. I love that one. Dark Knight Returns.
Frank Miller.
Yeah, definitely. I love Frank Miller's shit so good.
Before he lost it. There's just no getting around it. The dude is a very good writer who happens to just
be nuts. Yeah, I've heard of his.
It's like, dude, are you actually taking this serious? No one takes comics serious. We take it serious, but we don't take it serious in that. Oh, that's how I'm going to go out in real life and beat people.
Yeah, and the thing like that, I felt that like when I watched Sin City, I loved the movie, but I was like, this writer really hates women.
You can get a take on that from various ones because it just seems like almost all the time you don't know how much of it is like
true or false.
There's that, but then it's just like you don't know if they're, I don't know, it's kind of like an actor going too far. You don't know how much
method acting and all that.
I like slapping this bitch a lot. Cut, redo it again. But I have so many marks. Keep going.
God. Oh God. Oh no.
There's some characters out there.
Another Batman arc. Batman and Shadow, the Murder Geniuses. That was a good crossover.
Famous last words.
The Shadow.
Shadow returns.
We'll return after these messages.
Hello and welcome to Culture Shocked, the pop culture podcast brought to you by four aging millennials and our outdated opinions. Join us every Tuesday as we discuss movies, TV, games, and even music, new and old.
Dude, what do you think you're doing?
Are you seriously trying to record a promo without us right now?
Well, yeah.
Dude, you can't just do the promo by yourself. Who's gonna listen to that?
Yeah, and you probably haven't even told them that we're a pop culture podcast where we always agree on everything. For instance, the Sam Raimi trilogy, easily being the best of the Spider-Man movies.
No. But I think we can all agree that Jaws is a classical masterpiece.
Nope, don't like that. But we do all agree that the sequel trilogy of Star Wars is the best in the Skywalker saga, right, guys?
That comment is so ridiculous. I don't even know where to
Anyways, that'll do it from all of us here at Culture Shock. Thanks for listening.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR, we add them to our queues, we wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US, we are in the UK, we are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, all things that we love, all manga that were originally published in the legendary magazine Weekly Shonen Jump.
But not every series can run for 300 chapters and have a hit anime. This is David.
This is Jordan.
We're the hosts of Shonen Flop. Each episode we look at manga that ran in Jump that didn't quite make it.
We discuss what it did wrong, what it did right, how the series could have turned itself around, and ultimately, was it a flop or not?
Run all your favorite podcast apps, and you can find us at shonenflop.com.
Keep on flopping, floppers.
I've read so much shit lately. It's fun. Batman Aliens too. That's another good one.
Batman versus Aliens. Yeah, Alien versus Predator, I think.
Yeah. But then the massive crossover with Superman and Batman versus Aliens and Predator. That was dog shit. I was so mad, and I bought that shit. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so fucking cool!" And then I read it. I was like,
"Probably good."
Yeah, I hate that when I buy something that I think is gonna be awesome, and then I watch them like,
or the poster is better than the actual read. So
or like Punisher Warzone was like that, where I tried watching it based on the poster, and I was like, "Oh,
man."
No, sorry, not that. Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. I thought that poster looked great.
Oh,
I saw Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, and we walk in a couple minutes late, like me and my friend and my sister, and the first thing I see is a slow-mo shot of a motorcycle, and I'm like, oh, I know I'm in trouble. How painful is this going to be?
Yeah.
And then I get to the end of it, like, oh,
that's
horrible.
all the filmmaker wants
that
to do.
That was horrible.
That was the first film I watched when I had a quadruple feature at the theater that weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I saw that, Underworld, episode 1 in 3D, and The Woman in Black.
Wow, that's a day. I remember I think when like the first double feature I had in the theater was I saw the Lincoln Lawyer with Matthew McConaughey and Green Lantern on the same day.
Night and day.
So you were lukewarm, followed by decent to what?
Yeah,
imagine this.
No, the extended cut of Green Lantern is okay, but it's not the best film.
Well, and I remember like Lincoln Lawyer I thought was fun, and then Green Lantern I was like, I mean, it existed. I don't read the comics of it. I was like, look, it's Ryan Reynolds, a new character. I'm like, that existed. I mean, it's okay. It's not. I've seen worse. It's like, it's not great. No. I don't remember much about it, but people got paid for it.
True.
That's always what I like to find. Like someone,
they got paid.
Like someone was paid to work on this, so at least they got something out of it.
Yeah. Like my Green Lantern forever is always going to be Nathan Fillion, no matter what.
Okay, and is he And when did he voice him?
He did that in
made-for-video cartoons, and that's just it.
Emerald
like, DC,
Knights.
You really can't lose. Like, there's, I think, an animated Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Did he voice him in the Beware My Power thing that they just made?
That was no, he wasn't in that.
But yeah, the Crisis on Two Earths animation, I definitely recommend.
That was
okay,
good shit.
I'm kind of
good
going
voice cast, very energetic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just I'm going through like the DC AMU right now, which is a trip. Some good, so I'm not in love with Damian.
I like Son of Batman. Well, actually, Batman and Robin's Batman versus Robin's good.
I wasn't big on Son of Batman, but yeah, Batman versus Robin I thought was probably the best like Damian story. I thought Batman versus Robin's probably the best Damian story so far.
I can only imagine what this versus is like.
Well, the TMNT girls are good shit.
So they punch each other and then they make up.
Well,
no.
If you want to narrow the movie down to like the barest description,
just taking an educated guess.
Yes, that's the barest description of what that movie is.
Educated guess. Retracted.
What was it? I liked the Teen Titans movies
versus Justice League.
Yeah, that was fine. Yeah. I thought the Judas Contract front page. It was good. Like I
Judas
enjoyed
is also
that
just
too.
a good song in general.
Mm-hmm.
A perfect circle reference.
What's the other one? I don't know. And then I thought Justice League War was a good like introduction to everybody.
I think Oreo, didn't you rank that as like one of your top picks?
Apocalypse War was my top pick. Because that motherfucker went all out. And I'm like, yes, this is what a DC comic is all about. And I was just,
Well, yeah, and then too, like even like the Flashpoint paradox is like a starting point for all of that. It was good. Like that was good.
And
like,
that says a lot.
Minor changes
you can't,
to it, but still good.
For anyone to make Flashpoint work, that is magic.
Amazing.
So do you guys think they're gonna make Flashpoint work in this new movie?
I think they will.
I think
from what I've seen,
to be fair, I mean, I think it'll be a decent movie. I still want to see the Batgirl movie because I
would too.
Because I just don't like the lack of double standards. It's just like
release the Batgirl movie.
Exactly. Don't cancel a movie and then release a movie to which, much like Venom, you don't want a sequel to, but you will probably.
And I want to see Brendan Fraser as Firefly.
Yeah,
from his interview, that looks like fun.
Well, I was gonna say, also the Melissa Barrera, I saw her in Into the Heights, and I was like, this girl is a star. And so I'm like, oh, when I heard she was back, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to see that. So to see it get canceled after they spent $90 million on it, it's like,
oof.
Well, and that's dumb because it's like people want to both see. Well, there's both. And here we are with The Flash, and it's like we both want to see it, and we hope it doesn't make any money because we know Ezra Miller is such a shithead. So it's just like it's gonna make money, but I think they're gonna recast him as soon as they get that sequel.
I think they should. I mean,
and they could technically do it. They could do a whole, Doctor Who where they're like, hey, he's been warped and now he's got a different persona, what have you. But
I mean, Ezra
I get that it's not easy because.
It's Ezra Miller's.
But yeah, the whole Batgirl didn't test well. I'm like, I'd like to see the numbers on that. I think it was the Discovery guy
I always
saying
hate that test well bullshit. It's like you test it in front of like what?
They don't think it works, and at the same time, they almost always get like disappointing turnouts.
Well,
it's like,
and that's
so
the thing,
who's
like,
taking note?
Well, it's the thing of like, I don't really like test audiences as a thing, like in general. I'm like,
what did they tell them? What did they
what are you
see?
telling them? Like, if I'm a studio, like if I'm a studio head and I'm hiring a director to make a movie for me, I'm gonna want to trust in him or her to make a good movie. and not want to put it in front of people. Yeah, as I say, if I hire someone to make a movie and I believe the script is good, I'm gonna want to trust that director to be like, look, I hired you to do a job, do it and do it well. And if they screw,
I love how you just took an Arnold voice. Do it now.
Do it. Come on, do it.
Get to the chopper. We have to edit this movie.
Go. They should have totally done a Running Man version of Batman and Superman. They're just like, what the fuck with me?
Boy. Yeah, I still need to see the Running Man.
That's a different Arnold movie.
Arnold is probably like my go-to action star.
He was Superman growing up, dude. And so whenever people would ask me who is your favorite Superman, I would always say Dolph Lundgren and Arnold.
And that's the thing,
Commando and the Punisher.
Oh no, and that's the thing. Like I remember, this is sad, but I think like my first Arnold movie was probably like Jingle All the Way.
Nice.
And so it was like
the same.
No, that's the thing. Like I have childhood nostalgia for that movie, to where it's like,
so does my mother.
This is so ridiculous.
Of course your mom does.
There was one time where she was like, I want to see the TBS marathon. I'm like, I don't. Well, okay, here's the channel. Knock yourself out. I get it. It is can't be fun, and at the same time, it's also like stupid movies like that. You still have to brace yourself and be in that mode because
like I have to get.
It's kind of like I've surprisingly have gone 2 years without seeing any Mystery Science Theater stuff, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Usually, I like that kind of suffering and fun and. I think I just got bad movied out where I was like, okay, no,
or like
I can't.
Like I can totally be in the mood for this shut your brain all the way off kind of thing. Like yesterday,
You don't have to judge it on a constructive way. You can just enjoy the stupidity.
And that's the thing. Like yesterday afternoon, I was on that. Like I had that with G.I. Joe Retaliation. Where I was like,
it's so stupid, but I
was like, this is so stupid.
I saw it in the theater, and everyone was like, I want to fucking leave, and I'm like, I kind of want to stay. It's so dumb.
It's so dumb. I think
it's literally a Nickelodeon cartoon. Who can?
Oh no, it's
better than Rise of Cobra.
I think so. Now I know who to have on the G.I. Joe defending Ron. Has the Rock carrying a giant machine gun.
In terms of story, it's better than Rise of Cobra.
I agree.
And it's got the Punisher.
I agree. As somebody who likes both Rise of Cobra and this movie, as just turn your brain off super dumbness.
Wait, I have to turn my brain off.
I'm
just kidding.
I
don't know what that means.
I did think that Retaliation had a slightly better story. I was like, okay, I can, if I choose to, there's actually something happening here in between the gunfights, and Dwayne Johnson is doing what Dwayne Johnson does, and it's really funny that Channing Tatum's on the poster, even though he gets killed 20 minutes into it.
Oh, that,
Have you seen Fowler versus Venom?
Well, no. What is that? No, I haven't. How is that?
It's aged semi-poorly animation-wise.
Okay.
But stories-wise.
I love how
it's from 2004.
Well,
it's got that 2004 CGI.
Oh.
Yeah.
I do. I couldn't believe that the company that animated those Real FX, did all the Book of Life stuff. They're based
they've been Book of Life. That was fun one.
I remember watching those because that's what would happen. They'd come out to the video store, and that same like a month later would be playing nonstop on Cartoon Network, and you'd be like, this is very stunning. It's obviously not Pixar level, but it's still very interesting that they did, CGI.
Or like Code Lyoko was kind of like that, where it's like
Yoko Ono was in one. That's not a good idea. I'm just kidding.
Yoko Ono.
Or John Lennon.
For us, do it for us.
No, but yeah,
let's play Imagine
John,
for the 17,000th time.
Abbey
Yeah, I
Road.
did.
This
Yeah,
time Abbey Road gets blown up. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think it's funny to go back and like rewatch old cartoons sometimes just to see like how the animation holds up. And sometimes I can like, you know, like in watching the old Justice League cartoons, I can tell that it's or the 90s ones. The animation on that, it flows decently. Like it's not the best, but it's still really good.
You're bashing Bruce Timm.
Another thing. Yeah, yeah, the animation in all those shows is good. And then again, something like what like Code Lyoko, the CGI portions of that look like PS1 games. And then or like
you want to see a funny CGI?
Go!
I think it's on YouTube where I watch it. Sinbad Beyond the Veil of Mists. Brendan Fraser's in that.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I've never
I've
seen
that because it's often on the movie channels. Like they will commonly play that at like 2 a.m. on like Stars or HBO.
Oh, they will.
It's just really easy to afford discount movie. I think Leonard Nimoy voices like different people, like a prophet.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Mark Hamill.
Oh no! You want to see? I saw the Sinbad movie with Brad Pitt voicing him in theaters. No, that was fun. Like I saw that on home video.
DreamWorks.
Oh no, DreamWorks 2D catalog is really
interesting.
fun.
Yeah,
and it's a hodgepodge of random things.
It's like the first they decided we must be Disney, and then 2 years later we must be Pixar. We can't be, but we have to be. And then now let's be PlayStation 2, but interactive. Yeah,
I'll give you a good hot take. DreamWorks is better than Disney.
Oh,
figuratively, yeah,
because they're more out there versus Disney's layout and shit.
I'm sorry, Buzz Lightyear will zap everybody.
How dare you assume he's gonna survive a crossover?
I now here's the thing, Oreo. I never said he'd survive. I'm just saying he'd zap most of them. Because then Superman will come in and knock his block off. Yeah.
See, no,
Which Superman?
Which one? We have so many.
I'm trying to tread this around for DC, so I don't be accused of derailing the conversation.
No,
but it's amazing how it gets derailed because it all ties together.
It does. It is its own.
And then I guess speaking of things getting their heads blown off, what did you guys think of? What did you guys think of Black Adam and how it blew the head off of DC's plans?
I loved Black Adam. I really
you did? Okay.
Yeah, that was good. It was good shit.
Okay. I don't know. I
get the arguments. People don't like Dwayne Johnson.
Well, no, I loved what
people don't like Dwayne Johnson. What's wrong with this world? I know, right? I don't want to live in this world.
No, see that's the thing. Like I
understand not liking his movies.
Well, no, I love Dwayne Johnson's movies. Like his movies. He's our modern day Schwarzenegger, and I go out to see pretty much every one of his movies because I love seeing him. And I will say, it was interesting.
You do? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I did.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. It was interesting. It was interesting to see him play a quieter, more somber character, kind of go against his.
I saw one person being so mean, saying, "Why does he look like a naked Morano?" Oh my god, so
naked Morano!
People are so weird, but it is kind of wild how Pierce Brosnan is playing the equivalent of Doctor Strange. You know, like that's what that character was.
That's what
Fate.
See, that's all I could think watching him was like, this is just like Doctor Strange mixed with Mirror Master, maybe.
Yeah, there you
go.
I
don't know. But it's just like. But yeah, I felt like
mixed with the Wishmaster. Is that what you wish?
You and the fucking Wishmaster.
I'm sorry, I am a Wishmaster dude,
and that's fine. Like, I legitimately, I liked the ideas in Black Adam that hinted at. like the whole idea of like the Justice Society going over there after years of the town of the city being
pretty bad.
I'm actually there is one glaring plot point that really makes me laugh.
Well, I will admit that this upcoming, there's some fun moments.
Yeah, there's some fun
cool
bits
in that, as well as what's it called? The one where Adam was supposed to cameo in there, and then it's like they cut it.
I don't know. Shazam.
Yeah, Shazam starring Chuck. But
Shazam starring Chuck.
Oh, that's what
I love that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm on. This new one looks like it could be either fun or it could be like one of those stupid Thor sequels where it's just too much for its own good. So I'm
hoping it's fun.
The villains look fun. The like most trailers, which is why I don't like watching trailers. It just looks unfinished. So I'm holding out hope. I know, like most of these movies and shows, I will watch them when they air at 4 a.m. on the movie channels, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah. So the glaring plot point.
Well, that's the problem. The plot is always great when it's 2 a.m. And then you wake up and you realize I just watched a piece of shit at 2.
No, I've been there, done it. But the plot,
I've been there and done it. I love how Oreo just derailed. This is like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No, it's just funny. I want to know what the glaring plot point is. Like, I just love it. You're like, I'm ready. I got it.
I'm bracing for impact. I can take on all these quarterback guys, just taking me down.
The plot point that's funny is that Black Adam beats the baddie, but Inner Gang is still running shit in conduct.
Inner Gang. I love how heavy
Inner Gang?
Are you trying to be a fear-mongering politician like in DC Comics? Trying to get... Because that's what's crazy about Lex Luthor, that from what I've seen and even just read about what is summed up in some of his comics, he's literally Homeland Security, a warmongering contractor, and all these Bill Gates, Steve Jobs types combined. Mm-hmm. He's literally filtering in all these guys who got good ideas. And the difference between him and some of the other oil tycoons and other guys who shouldn't be in Congress but are is he basically knows how to kind of get the guys to kind of eat each other like piranhas and then kind of weed out the bad apples, and still ultimately, even if he doesn't have to kill you, he will find a way for him to triumph, and no one will believe you that he's even a bad guy because again, he's charismatic. So that's the other.
That's how Tony Stark is in Civil War.
Yeah, he's like a likable version of Trump. He's that kind of guy who's just like he's somehow able to talk coherently, not seem like a dipshit, and then wipe the floor with anybody.
Yeah, I mean,
he's basically doesn't he take over Wall Street technically?
He became president actually in one of the arcs.
Oh, well, so, yeah.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
I mean,
just like Jack Ryan in those Tom Clancy books can become president, so can Lex Luthor. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would love to see a Superman movie actually show that, like this Lex Luthor.
Yeah, because that's kind of what I thought they were. I'd like to
actually. I think they did that in Public Enemies.
Did they?
I think they did. Yes.
I saw one of those.
It was.
Actually, I saw.
And animated was the best way to go with that anyway, just because it's a lot to process, and if you can at least just focus on just how the animation and the character has one line blurb that comes out saying "I own everything now," it's like okay, perfect, I can accept it. As opposed to
like a
when
live
you're seeing
action
a visual movie, you're having to process all the effects, let alone whether or not you buy the actors, and half the time you don't because they're divas and. Or however they're lit and shot, they're just not behaving.
I guess
I like Jesse Eisenberg and other things, and I get the whole irony. Hey, let's have Mark Zuckerberg play Lex Luthor. It just didn't work for me, but I like parts of those movies. Otherwise, it's just there's always a casting where someone just looks like A, they don't want to be there, or B, they just have been misbehaving and they're fed up and they're just not ready to give an actual performance.
See, I think I feel like Jesse Eisenberg in that movie is playing in a far campier version of that movie.
That too,
which is
like,
why
half the time someone will overact and they don't know that. Hey,
they're not like in every scene he has with like no, it's not Diane Lane. It's Holly Hunter.
Yeah,
as the person. Like in that movie, she's playing her role very seriously, like very dramatically. She's not camping up at all.
Yeah,
and then I'm really hoping for a Rosenbaum level Luther. I feel like Rosenbaum knew exactly how to strike that perfect balance between being over the top when he needed to be. Summer, Billy Zane is Lex Luthor.
They do have Michael Rosenbaum come back and be Lex Luthor now.
Have him play it.
Just do it.
One of the main problems with Jesse Eisenberg was that people, when they saw that casting for that,
they thought Michael Cera.
No, they thought.
I didn't think I was going to go there, did you?
People thought that Luther was going to be an adult. They weren't expecting his son to be in the role. That was the big thing.
And I don't think he was in the trailer, but they saw that and they thought, oh, he's an adult. And it's like, no, he's playing it as a young adult.
And I like that. I like that it was his kid, not him.
I will give you that. Yeah, I thought that was clever in the screenplay, and then I think it got overshadowed when whoever they casted.
I think that
like you say, they could have leaned into it a little more. By the way, I'm a kid, and this little shit's gonna take over the world.
Well, I think him being a younger guy, it hurts his intimidation level because Henry Cavill's like 37 years old, and Jesse Eisenberg's is he in his early 30s or 20s? Mm-hmm. And so it's like that scene where he shows him Superman pictures of his mom and he bows to him. I laugh at that because I'm like, you look like a grown man being taken down by a child.
Half the time those don't work in live action because they don't lean into it enough. Well, they'll either won't be subtle enough or they just won't have enough depth to where you're just like, so what does that mean? Or they do kind of like what they did in the Hobbit movies where they're just like, okay, well, we're not going to bother explaining what this means in the book. We're just going to lean into it with the fans. And so this is where the fans really wreck it for me, because if they get what they want to see, then it blinds their judgment, and that technically doesn't work as a movie. And it's like, well, I thought you were all about double standards, but because you're spoiled by getting what you want, I guess we got to be left out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, there are parts of that movie where it's like, I recognize this is from a comic, but it makes no sense in this movie.
Yeah, because there's no establishing shot or backup.
Like there's nothing like that. That's like that bit where Bruce Wayne has a dream where a giant bat grabs him. It's like, I know what that means because I know about the Dark Knight Returns comic. Mm-hmm. But when I first saw that movie and that happened in my theater, I was like, did I really just freaking see that? And what did it mean? Like, why is it here? And then I found out what it meant. Like, that's still. I was like, okay, I get it, but it still doesn't make it mean anything.
Back to the infamous nature of the Hobbit. We see the one guy, I forget his name, who's in the forest and can become a bear. They don't even have that
whatever his name is.
Bjorn, and they don't even have that whole episode of him scene with them. They don't even name him. They just have a guy become a bear in the background.
A bear randomly. It's like, wait, what is
this? When I lost it at that fucking movie, because I was just like, you have betrayed every nature as a storyteller. You could say what you're thinking, what this has to do with anything, and instead you're just like, oh, they'll figure it out. Well, now I'm distracted because now you've introduced this thing that has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, I'd kind of like to see more superheroes be in animation for that exact reason. Because when I'm watching, when I watch an animated movie, unless the logic gaps it presents are like crater sized, I'm not thinking as much about how this all clicks together. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to go with a lot more like fantasy elements, like this happens because it happens this way, because it's not real. It's not our world or our reality. And so I'm not thinking of it in terms of how does our world work. And it's like, again, like that's why Justice League is good, because I don't question, oh, there are two alien guys here and another dude
he's an alien? No, I'm just kidding.
with a lantern that can do anything. and Wonder Woman's here, and like I don't question like yes, they all just exist in the same universe and they're teaming up to fight aliens together. Like it just clicks for me. Because aliens and because good reference. And because I saw but yeah, it just cartoons allow a greater suspension of disbelief entirely. And I wish the studios had realized that. It's like give us more superhero animation,
or just let it breathe. Just let it unfold naturally.
Yeah, like let if you're telling a story, let that story play out. Don't try to shove in another fan favorite comic book story just because you think fans will enjoy it. It's like I would love to see a movie where Superman, if this universe is still going, I would have liked to have seen a Superman movie where the government is actually questioning him about his actions in some of his fights. Like you save people, but like there was a lot of collateral damage here. That's interesting to me conceptually, but we don't have time for that because Dark Knight Returns stuff is in here, and giant monster number 3075 is in here. And it's like, wasn't this supposed to be about something?
Evil Ash versus Ash. No,
God. It just
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead
made every single argument. But yeah, it does get to that point where it's just like, I feel like they're doing that with just about every other Superman, Batman thing. Is like there are more. In fact, now with all the Nazis and other guys on social media like judging everything before it comes out, I don't even want to see the Marvel or DC logo. See if people can naturally get ignited by it, and then if they still don't get it, have them appear in the second one and a trailer or promo, and then say, okay, get it.
And this like honestly that like people don't react to the Marvel logo when I see
people
all
are
these
stupid
things.
And then when they don't react the way you're supposed to, then they decide to be a total.
What do you mean react to the logo?
Like there's that prejudgment. Have you been noticing how they want them to be like, oh, it's a Marvel movie, oh, it's another DC movie? This is like
I've never seen that.
I've seen guys who prejudge a DC movie just because they didn't like the earlier ones. They act like there's no way they can do a good one. It's like
I will say my favorite DC logo though is the black and white one.
Then I can't admit that it's bad.
Well, yeah,
I love it.
I can admit like I try not to have that kind of thing where I'm like, look, DC is capable of making good movies. Like,
oh yes,
I love Massive Phantasm. I love Wonder Woman 2017.
I love Phantasm. Oh, different Phantasm. I'm just kidding.
Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Attention. Phantasm is pretty cool.
So yeah, I love Batman Mask of Phantasm. I love Wonder Woman 2017. I think.
Have you seen 2009 and Bloodlines?
Not yet.
They're good.
Okay, yeah, because I'm making now with HBO Max. I'm making my way through all the animated stuff slowly, just trying to just at my own pace because I haven't.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
I also want to go back to you talking about the complexity with Superman being held accountable and shit. The complexity. I actually talked to Sam Liu.
Do they do that in the comic books or other media?
The comics actually talk about Marvel Civil War arc talks about that, and they really expand on that shit a lot, and I love that. But with the complexity and bringing that to film, director Sam Liu, I talked to him on Twitter about that because he did Planet Hulk, and I like how Planet Hulk turned out because that was such a complex story and it was gutted. Okay. And he told me that, would you really want to see all that complexity crammed into a 70 or 80 minute film? And I'm like, yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah, I feel like if they gave these direct-to-DVD things like 90 minutes at the very least,
you gotta say it in an epic way.
Direct-to-video. If they gave if they gave these direct-to-DVD movies, like a 90-minute runtime instead of trying to
made for TV.
Trying to cram all this stuff in 70, 80 minutes. Like Batman Bad Blood was an example of that, where I was like, there's a lot of interesting premises here that are not getting fleshed out very much.
I brought that up in another argument because the one thing people don't like to talk about with Batman is that he got raped by Talia.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, that's not what happened. I'm like,
yeah,
I
realized. Yeah, I was watching a review of Batman. I was watching a review of Son of Batman from a YouTuber who pointed that out, and I was like, that's really messed up that somebody wrote that and didn't realize how screwed up that was.
Yeah, it's in the comics. It's
like they got.
Well, yeah, like in the comics, I mean, like
somebody... And they talk about it in Bad Blood. She's like, "Oh, you liked it anyway," and he's like, "Well,
that's not cool. That's just,
and that's just it. Like, it's kind of the medium, also too. Like, it's amazing how something that would make a movie be massively rated R can be modified on cable TV, or you can still have a video game, or vice versa. Like, you can have a PG-13 movie, and then there's an R-rated video game of it. It's wild how you get a different rating, and a lot of people, some fandoms, it doesn't affect them. Like Marvel seems to be one of the few that can be unaffected. Like everyone's gonna go both see Deadpool 3, which is going to be rated R, and then see Avengers 5 and 6, which are going to be PG-13. It's funny how the same thing with TV. It's wild what will still get a TV 14 versus MA rating.
Oh yeah. I used to watch the Vampire Diaries, and they got away with some stuff on that. I was like,
some gore. It just has to be more. It can't be like gruesome. Like
it can't be like True Blood.
Oh yeah, no, right. It can't. Yeah, oh no, True Blood is another one I'm watching where I'm just like, nice. I love this show, and I'm amazed they got away with all of this. And again,
I know, especially for early 2010s, like. Fuck.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, and what I like about True Blood in terms of that shock value and the R-rated content, though, is that they use it to bolster their story. I feel like they don't. Most of the time,
that's good because
like they're not doing it.
I could never get into it, but I understand the fun. I understand.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, they're
it's
not
like titties and blood.
Well, they're not doing it just to shock you. They're doing it like, look, we're working on. Well, partially.
I'm just kidding.
That's why I'm on this goddamn podcast.
It's better than Game of Thrones because, like, Game of Thrones will have so many moments where you're like, this doesn't serve anybody anything. And you're doing this for the studio heads who.
And that's my issue. Like, I'm not a fan of shock value that doesn't serve the story in some way.
I can justify every moment of Oz. I don't
of Oz
or even Sopranos, and I can't.
Oh no, Sopranos I've seen a little bit of, and that's
as much as I hate that final season. It's a pretty awesome show, but
why didn't you like the last season?
It doesn't. It was such a dull set, and the prequel movie didn't solve anything.
I heard the prequel movie from Sopranos fans was not very well received.
It's almost like the Matrix 4, where the people I thought would like it really liked it, surprisingly. And
not really.
The people who hated it surprisingly were very nice in their review. And when you would have thought they would have gone apeshit with it, so it's just like, what am I missing here? I thought it was great.
You liked it?
Yeah, no, I thought it was pointless, and I like the original trilogy.
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all. Like I felt like
crisis averted because I was supposed to see this with some friends and family.
Oh boy!
And it was one of those where I was like, I'm so glad you guys didn't watch this. You would have been asking questions the whole time, and I would have been shrugging my shoulders, saying, "Shut up, watch the movie." I don't know.
Well, and that's the thing. Like for me, like I went into it and I had seen 2 out of the 3 of the Matrix things at that point. I hadn't seen the third Matrix movie. I was like, I stupidly thought, oh, I'll be fine.
I mean, I'll defend the damn first two sequels. I can't defend this one because, like, it's just very messy. You don't understand it from point A to B.
Yeah, like from moment to moment, I was just confused. I was like, wait, so you're a movie that is metatextually saying how much you hate fan service, but also you keep on referencing fan servicing things.
Yeah, it's what makes
what are
sense
you
either.
doing?
I saw so many people who liked it just because of the Marvel references and thought it was cute. And I'm like, for real?
No,
you're basing it on just a random. That would be like if I thought, I don't know, like if I watched something like Last Action Hero or a Black Dynamite, but I liked it only for like 3 jokes that reference that. I'm like,
that would be
not a movie made.
That would be like if I said like I liked Black Adam in its entirety because they had Superman at the end.
Yeah, just because of that for that one reference, I gotta suffer for it.
I love how people spoiled that shit like 16 hours later. Like, motherfuckers!
I know. They like no, it was like.
And I will be mad even though they're actively looking for spoilers, and it's like, you don't you're not part of that same crowd if you already searched for it.
No, I never actively searched for them. Like if I had gone in there and if I had gone in there and not known he would have been in there.
Fuck no, yeah.
Like if I had gone in there not knowing he was gonna be in there, I would have stood up and clapped at the end when he showed up.
I don't know, like that. It ruined it. It's like you have people who actively do that shit. And
it was like, why did you spoil this? And then the thing, like, it was the one part of the movie that I really liked because I thought, like, okay, again, I wish they would have kept Henry Cavill's theme music and not put the John Williams in there. I actually liked the Henry Cavill theme a lot. Like Hans Zimmer did great on that music. And John Williams' score is for Christopher Reeve. It's like, look, this music cue is amazing, but it's not for this iteration of the character. So it doesn't hit me the same way because I don't associate this music with that version of this guy.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird too? How sometimes people they blur it all together, like they think you're referencing this other thing that was around the same time. It's like people would get annoyed that you were mistaking their popular R&B or new metal artists with the other. And it's like, well, they kind of use the same marketings and not trying to mistake it.
Here's an easy ass question. When you read comics, no, this will show how diverse we are.
Yeah,
ass it up. Who do you hear if you're reading Batman? Who do you hear when you read Batman?
Adam West.
Okay. Who do you hear?
Who do you hear? You wanted to know.
Who do you hear, Kevin?
Depending on the day, Christian Bale or Kevin Conroy.
Oh God.
Okay, I hear Bruce Greenwood or Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See?
So I want to live in Oreo's world. In other words, I don't want to live in. I would hate to hear Christian Bale's.
Get over here.
And I also like Michael Keaton slips in there.
I almost thought you were going to say Michael Bay.
No, Michael Keaton.
I would love to see Michael Bay, DC or Marvel. Or
Michael Bay is my favorite Batman ever. He beat Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes,
Dragon Ball Z tournament.
And his face literally explodes.
Michael
Bay. And there you go, and the Batmobile explodes, and he's just like, "Nope, fuck that shit."
I think no, a movie where Michael Bay plays an aging Batman.
Oh God!
And then he's directing Batman, saying, "Your ass didn't explode on time. You got to do it again." I don't know why I started this on Michael Bay, but here we go.
Oh man!
Michael Bay.
All right, here's another one. All right, who is the best voice of Optimus Prime in the different versions that are out?
Wait.
There are different versions beyond Peter Cullen
than Peter Cullen.
There's Peter Cullen, but I like Optimus Primal too.
So wait,
I like that voice.
Who else?
I only know Peter Cullen.
Let me look it up. Hold on.
I'm about to say, are you sure you don't mean Optimus Not Optimus. The main villain, Megatron.
Oh, not
yeah,
Megatron.
because I know that they've had. Because I know that they had like Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, Optimus Prime was voiced by Gary Chalk.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Wow, wait, he was in what? I recognize him. Holy shit.
Gary Chalk? No, it's
Gary Chalk. Yeah, you've seen him. He's a Canadian actor who's played a lot of Russian. He's the Russian.
Yeah, he was in The Fly 2, Godzilla, Freddy vs. Jason, and Colonel Chekhov on Stargate SG-1.
Okay.
Yep.
And he's on Cold Squad too.
All right, I'm looking him up.
Oh, he was in Warriors of Virtue too. No shit.
The dude is in literally every Canadian show. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen this guy. Yeah, I've seen this guy before. Okay.
And he was in Watchmen. Nice.
Yeah. Anything filmed in Canada, he's definitely bound to be in it. I think he's in X-Men too.
What did you guys think of the Watchmen movie? I presume you guys have read the comic. Okay.
You have.
I know. He loves me. So he loves my ass.
But I do love. I'll tell you this: Doom Patrol, so quotable, so vivid, so emotional. So
best one-line zingers ever.
Oh yeah, someone should totally do Brendan Fraser's robot like on loop for like 10 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that.
Yeah, I haven't looked it up, so I got to see if they've actually done that.
Let's see. I like the director's cut the most of Watchmen. It's one of my top favorites. Like, people don't get it, and I understand why they don't get it. There's multiple levels to it. You have, on the surface, it's just, heroes fighting each other. On the other surface, underneath that, it's complexity. Underneath that, it's them dealing with their own shit. And then you have just the other complexity where people are like, this doesn't make any fucking sense at all. I'm like, you're not paying attention. You got to read the comic. You got to research and understand it. It's really
a mixture of both. Like, it's got to both.
And even like
people got to suspend belief if something isn't perfect, and then at the same time, they also got to. If they didn't adapt it, then you can still find entertainment value while saying it's just not good storytelling. But
I mean, for me, like, I didn't like the Watchmen movie. Like, I've only seen the theatrical cut at this point, which I like the theatrical cut. I feel like the theatrical cut of that movie, just as a movie, separated from the comic, I feel like that movie is like Zack Snyder and all of his little fascinations working together well.
He adapted the whole damn thing.
Well, and the thing, I feel like it's his probably the most personal movie he's made. Like, I get a feeling when I watch it, like, he really wanted this to be perfect.
Yeah.
And it's a personal feel that I don't get from a lot of his other movies. I feel like he comes in a lot and says, I'm going to make this look good and be really stylish. Watchmen is the only time where I felt like, okay, he's actually, like, the shots in this are really, really good and they're varied. And I get more of a feel for these characters in this story. And that's probably due to me because, again, he's adapting most of the story, like, directly. And again, I feel like it's probably the best cast of his movies. Because, again, like, not having read the comic yet, and I know it's, like, super influential and all that, I feel like, like, these actors who I've seen elsewhere, they disappear into their characters immediately. Like, Billy Crudup is fantastic as Dr. Manhattan, doing that whole, like, emotionless, losing his grip on humanity thing.
Yeah.
And,
I love that.
Yeah, like Jeffrey Dean Morgan being the comedian is immediately like,
that was so good.
They it's funny how the movie, like, it makes you feel bad for him for 5 seconds in the beginning when he's getting pummeled, and then the more you learn about him, the more you're like,
he's a real dick.
He's horrible. Yeah, no, it's a really well cast movie, and again, I like that I love the fact that it subverts the typical superhero ending where it's like, the villain's like, yeah, I detonated the thing 35 minutes ago before you came. I loved that. I was like, finally, one of these movies did that with a villain just orchestrated their plan before the hero showed up to whoop him.
And I think people also expected it to be like your basic run-of-the-mill superhero film.
Well, and they kind of, the way they advertised it made it look like, the way that they advertised it made it look weird for the sake of weird to me. Like, I feel like
you're weird.
I saw the advertisements and I had no clue what it was about. Like, I didn't see it then until I was in like my junior year of college, and I was like, oh no, I can follow this. Like, it's complicated and has a lot of characters, but I can follow what's happening here.
Yep. And it's got that nice burn pace to it, that slow burn.
Yeah, it's a 3-hour movie, and I like how like each hour of the movie is a full act of it. Yeah. So everything gets time to be set up and explored and then paid off.
Yeah, and then the ultimate cut of it, and it includes Tales of the Black Freighter animated film, which makes it almost 4 hours long.
Yeah.
And that can detract from the main story, but it's like also a nice little intermission at the same time, and then it jumps back into the movie.
I find that most people who complain about length will either never going to accept
have small
or penises. They're a test audience, or they're just a snob, and it's like,
I mean,
it's too long. I can't handle it.
Well, I can. For me, it's. I don't want a majority of movies to be like 3 hours, but I generally go in with the viewpoint of, if you tell me a really good story and you need that length in order to tell that story in the best way, then okay, I will accept that your movie is 3 hours. I will accept your movie is 3 hours long because I got something really good out of it.
Yeah. One story that's been adapted that has basically a runtime of 9 hours combined would be The Long Halloween. Because you have The Dark Knight, you have The Long Halloween animated film, and you also have The Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all them combined, it's the same story, just told in different ways, but the animated film is a little more accurate to it.
Oh yeah, like I started watching the animated film and I was fascinated by how many of its plot points I had seen used in the Batman and the Dark Knight.
Yep.
Like, wow, this one story has influenced so much of live action Batman media.
A lot of it. Even Batman Begins too.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and then I intend to like sit down to do The Long Halloween as like one go at some point, because I know they split it into 2 parts, probably to just make more money.
I hate that shit.
Well, yeah, it's like part 1 and part 2. It's like,
and it's always blatantly obvious. You're like,
if it's done, yeah, no. Like I got to the end of part one. I got to the end of part 1, and I was like, that's not the end of a movie.
Like, where's part 2?
It all goes back to the goddamn Hobbit. It's just
the Hobbit.
Done it the way it was on paper because it worked.
Now you're turning into me. Way to go!
And that's the deal. Like, and again, like, I didn't see the Hobbit.
I'm serious. Like, I was so invigorated by that because it's like one of my favorite books, and I'm just like, it's worked so great as a comic. It's worked so well as it hasn't worked well as a video game, but it's interesting.
How dare you bash the Lego version?
Well, and
Uli Ball is the best. Michael Bay.
Michael Bay is my favorite Batman.
Oh my god,
so goofy like that. But yeah, I remember I saw An Unexpected Journey again, after
going on an adventure.
40 minutes into the movie, I'm finally going on an adventure.
I want Bill Shatner or Leonard Nimoy to sing the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins.
They should have put that over the closing credits of the third Hobbit movie just for no reason other than like an inside baseball joke.
Inside.
I'll tell you one thing though. The sketchbooks and the art books for the Hobbit, absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. What was phenomenal? Sorry.
The sketchbooks and the art books for the Hobbit and Water, absolutely.
Oh no, I'm sure. Sketches. I'm sure. Like they look like they would be amazing, like sketches, just to see like how everything was drawn out.
Yeah.
And then say like people like to say, "Oh, these movies have no soul and it's all CG," and I'm like, whatever.
I've seen too many people do that. It's like you can say that about any movie being.
Yeah, and I'm saying
Disney princess films have no soul.
I mean, as much as I like ILM, they have really goofed up a lot of visual effects on recent movies to where it's like you can't say it's as good as their earlier stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And I think part of that has to do with like the visual effects crunch that they're being put under by Disney. I would much rather.
Well, they've had YouTubers like that, and you can see why YouTubers have to slate it a different way because otherwise no one will watch the video. They'll be like, "You're trolling." It's like, no, I'm making a point. Why does this look so different when you before you enhance it? And this is a DVD rip.
No, but yeah, I do think.
I mean, I just returned to theaters finally this year after all this COVID crap, and I have been still entertained to some, and then underwhelmed at others that looked way too digital. Just however it's being projected, and the Foley's always on point.
Yeah, I've seen like there's an article that went around about like how digital projection is making the image look less clear.
Yeah,
it's making it look ugly.
Around with it.
I mean, I haven't really noticed that issue. I haven't really noticed that issue. Like the image to me on these screens normally looks pretty good.
No.
But
I actually had that issue when I saw Spider-Verse. I was like, why is it fucking blurry and stuff? And they're like, and then you watch it and it's like, oh, it's supposed to be
not
like that.
Meant to be, or it is, but not the way you're
like Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse is a movie that I love, but I need to be in the right mood for just because of how insane visually it is.
Have you seen the alt universe mode for it?
The alt universe? No.
Where it's like all black and white, right?
No, alt universe adds in a lot more story, and some of it's unfinished, but it's still a great fucking story.
Stuff that might have worked for the diehard fans versus the movie fans.
Well, one thing I liked about it was I'm hoping when Across the Spider-Verse comes out that Octavia comes back because in the alt universe cut. Oh man, that was so good with her. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to look into it. But yeah, I'm hoping Across the Spider-Verse is at least as good as the first movie was.
It'll probably outdo it,
if not better. And the only reason why I have concern is like I feel like Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, as funny as they are, I feel like none of their direct sequels have been as strong as their previous ones.
They definitely get pretty spoiled because, like, I think I just lost a lot of respect for them when I heard about the whole issue with how they were the original guys homing solo. And I was like, why are they doing that? They do campy movies. They don't do serious movies, with camp, and then how they weren't following the script. And then that just made it very clear to me. It's like, okay, so, I mean, I'm not dissing them. They did make fun of it.
Yeah.
And themselves in 21 Jump Street, where they're like, we got lucky. We didn't expect this to work, but now it worked. And now I feel like they kind of roped themselves into a corner and then at the same time weren't willing to adjust. And now they have to adjust because before all of this, everyone just knew him as, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and all the other crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, just go back to being dorky, silly, goofy, funny,
Oh, real?
Yeah, they were the Meatballs guys, and if you pay attention, like you can see,
I'm surprised you didn't know that. Like, Oreo.
Yeah, they're them. That was the first thing that I saw that they did.
First thing I could tell when I saw 21 Jump Street. I'm like, I feel like I've seen these guys before, and you look at their work and like, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, the Meatballs guys. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you guys do all these
like
animations
the guys.
that your siblings are quoting that drive you crazy, and then everyone else is like, it's actually not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Lego movie, I mean, was one of those. I saw it
Lego
in the theater.
movie. Yeah,
that was good, but it wasn't great. But I enjoyed it more when I watched it and quoted it afterwards. But
okay, I loved Lego Movie. I didn't even grow up a Lego kid. Like my friends dragged me to it.
I was a total Lego guy and Mega Bloks and all that. But it was interesting to me how is that definitely benefited from a rewatch, because then you understand better how utilizing all these different characters in this one world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
I just had a very good moment. Shit,
you had a very good moment.
Yeah,
very cool.
We like it when Oreo has his moments, because means definitely he's really enjoying himself.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah, I asked Brian Michael Bendis on Twitter why Dr. Doom wasn't in the Illuminati during Civil War, and he actually responded. He said that he was in the Cabal during that time.
Like, damn, that's cool. Friend.
That's cool.
I do wish. I seriously wish Dr. Doom is definitely another one, much like Lex Luthor, who you wish would have more screen time. When you know what a cool villain he is.
I mean,
on the basis he's on.
I want to see him done well. I mean, again, me being like how old I am, when I think of Dr. Doom, I think of Julian McMahon from the early 2000s.
He's a good actor. He's just had a very dumb movie he was in.
I thought that I like those movies for being campy ridiculousness. I know that they're not they wouldn't make any lists of like best superhero movies that I would make.
No, I get it.
The only thing that made them good was Chris Evans and Jessica Alba.
I thought that I liked the casting on all four of them.
I mean, I don't have a problem with any of the cast. It was just the movie just kind of being whatever, like just getting lost
they're disposable. I think they're kind of disposable kids movies to me.
That's just it too. And then you hear how the cast wasn't getting along with the director, who was making his career.
You have to pretty cry.
I saw that. I was like, poor Jessica Alba. Like,
shitty direction.
That's just horrible. It's like this. Don't cry. We'll add it in later. I'm like, no, she's an actress. Like,
if it was
it's her job to act emotionally.
Seen, that would have been one thing.
But it's like if you're telling your actress not to cry and what's meant to be the emotional big point of the movie, it's like, why would you tell your actress not to cry? Like, that's just bad.
Well, and it's just one of those brief moments
of misogyny.
There's a lot of directors we've always kind of wondered, why did they not go anywhere when they made major movies? And it's just like, that's just it. Like, if enough people behind the scenes kind of write about you to HR, you're just not going to go anywhere beyond. We let you guest direct TV, and it's just like.
Tim's story, his career is still gone. He's still working. Like, he most recently did that Tom and Jerry movie, which I thought was okay.
That was cool.
I like that movie fine. Like, it was a fun, like, family movie.
So he's not the go-to of making dumb comedies.
Yeah, he's hey, he's good at what he does.
And I say this as a fan of Space Jam too.
I enjoyed.
You like Space Jam? A New Legacy?
I took it for what it was. I was like, look, this is ridiculous.
The Warner Brothers cinematic universe.
But I'm having fun. I was having fun at its expense of like exactly how many products can be
into my tunes. I grew up on them. But yeah, the Tom and Jerry one, that looked like that had some bad animation, so I did not watch that. Yeah.
I thought the animation on it was fine. Like, it wasn't anything mind blowing. It was okay. I mean, it's a human centric movie with Tom and Jerry in it. Understand that, and you'll have a better time.
Yeah.
And I. Yes, I know. I'm so full of wisdom. I just imagine that.
That's fucking awesome.
No, but I guess like, what are you guys? But I guess like, to bring this back into DC, what would your guys' like favorite DC movie be?
None of them. Soulless Universe. I'm kidding. Anyway,
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm making fun of this. Why am I here? No.
I'm gonna have to go do the F word now.
I would definitely say who's the soul? Who's the main guy who's just like the go-to? I think you could probably say that what's his name? Alfred kind of has a lot of the best humor that sums up the DC universe.
Oh. Right.
And by the way, I am gonna send you this hysterical TV spot that actually has positive reviews of Batman.
Oh God.
Of Batman and Robin?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a rare TV spot, and there's some good reviews on it.
Hey, you know what? I believe that every movie has its fans. You know,
yeah, that's right.
If there's one thing I've learned being on Twitter over the past like 8 years, it's that every single movie has someone who liked it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that's perfectly okay. If I don't like something,
I know it's just funny because like,
but yeah, Batman and Robin.
I say this as a major Schumacher fan, and I hate it when people bash the man, and I'm like, the dude has done so many.
Great movies. The dude's great. Like Phone Booth is great.
Falling Down.
I think A Time to Kill is really good. Yeah, Joel Schumacher. Joel Schumacher. I hope that in future years he's not known just as the guy that did those goofy Batman movies.
Yeah, true.
Because he was a good director. Even his
was fired. Bloom. I went there, but it's just
even
one of those like I have fun with so many movies he's done. DC Cab and everything, and it's just like he does not deserve to be
the Batman nipple guy.
Especially when your first one that you do is considered okay or decent, you know?
Yeah, like Batman Forever is all right. Like I will defend that as having like it was the first one that tried to like probe into Bruce Wayne's psychology.
Mm-hmm.
As a first attempt in the 90s, it's like, hey, you know, it's a fine attempt to bring that to the screen, and it's a balance of light and dark that I think it works decently. Val Kilmer's fine in the lead role. I would have enjoyed seeing him get another go if him and Schumacher had worked better together.
Mm. There's supposed to be a 3-hour cut of Batman Forever that exists.
Yeah,
that was so funny when they started up the whole release the Schumacher cut.
I was laughing like, is every superhero movie gonna get this now? Like, am I gonna get
I still want the air cut. I still want to see that shit.
Oh, really? I
did too, and I actually legit love that movie, even though it's not perfect, but it's fun.
I know people hate Suicide Squad, but out of all the films,
I don't hate it. I think it's all right. Like it's fine. Yeah. Like it's
still good shit.
It is fun. And
the best one though is definitely
Hell. I mean, what's funny is I see contrary stuff too that gets overlooked. I saw people who saw the newest Suicide Squad and they didn't care for that one either, and I'm like, well, they're two apples and oranges. Like one was a straight up gritty movie, the other was a wacky movie, but they're literally telling the same exact story.
Well, and the best thing about
that was the better one, but it didn't appeal to everybody either. So it's just like, well.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I prefer the 2016 Suicide Squad to the new one because I don't know, probably it was something to do with like the gritty visuals of it. I'm like, this is working more for me I felt like the Suicide Squad.
I think it's being more accepted now that the Peacemaker show's out.
Yeah.
It kind of. The Suicide Squad wasn't my cup of tea. Like I went in excited, and it didn't go. It didn't go for me for some reason. It was like it just didn't work.
I know like Harley Quinn just decided, let's just remake 48 Hours in the Warriors.
No, like
that's our movie. Let's do a Walter Hill homage.
You know what's funny about Suicide Squad though? Is it's the easiest film that you can just literally make multiple sequels of because there's so many members of the Suicide Squad, and it would never get dull. It would be so perfect because everybody interchanges.
And the thing, I would love to see I would love to see.
You got 4 films of it now, so there you go.
I want to see Hell to Pay because I've heard people say that one is like good. Really. I've heard people say that's like the best Suicide Squad movie we've gotten so far.
It really is. It's the best
which one? Sorry.
Hell to Pay. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen the animated ones. I'm sure they're
dude, it's so good.
It's fun. I just
you'll be surprised. You will be very surprised.
I'll probably end up probably end up watching that tonight just because it's like, again, I want to make my way through the DC animated stuff. Yeah. It's been a fun road watching those in order. Like
it's fun watching them by release because you see how they keep evolving each installment and how it started with Doomsday and now we're all the way up to Legion of Superheroes.
Hey Oreo, guess what? You're doomed.
Oh no. I am anxious for Batman Doom That Came to Gotham because that's Sam Liu's last DC directorial.
Really?
He had to get his ass out of this chair.
Nah, I really respect Sam's work and everything.
I thought he was the one who was being a dick to everybody.
No, Sam Liu's
who's the guy who was being an asshole to everybody who was making all these
Joss Whedon?
No, it was another one besides Whedon. Like there was this other Asian businessman at Warner Brothers in DC.
Oh, Walter Hamada. That's who it is.
That's who I'm thinking.
Walter Hamada. Yeah.
Thank you.
You know the thing. I felt.
Asian Joss Whedon.
Okay. I will go there.
Wow,
yes. I will go there.
Oh, that's something. That's a.
We just got canceled. Thank you.
I love you all. See you. Good night.
Love you all.
My credit
going out in style. I guess this is it.
Making fun of
Walter. One more thing to say.
Making fun of Walter Hamada. We're true renegades.
Will you please just kiss my ass?
Walter, I hope DC becomes more consistent in its quality now that James Gunn is behind it. I think he can. I feel like he's a guy that values.
I think he knows that not everyone gets a second chance, let alone him. And when those neo-Nazi bots were cancel my social media.
Yeah, like he's
for humor he wouldn't make now when humor has continually evolved, you know?
Yeah. It's like everybody made jokes in high school that they wouldn't say to people now.
Well, I say that shit now.
Yeah. Well, like I'll admit, like, look, I said stuff in high school that was horrible. Like, I would never say it to anybody now.
I mean, insult-driven jokes are even more hard because then halfway through, it's just like, okay, the whole joke is that it's offensive, but you're in on it. But that's a little harder, too, because I think other than, like, I don't know, South Park-type cartoons, people weren't...
Yeah, South Park. I mean,
those were the same idiots who were just, you know, watching part of it, but not realizing, oh, well, dude, just sounds really fucked up. You're clearly not in on the joke. You're not supposed to say that shit.
You can't joke about that. It's offensive to somebody.
Well, I think that's just it. They weren't in on the joke. I think they were just being idiots.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I think that. No, but yeah, I think that James Gunn will right the DC ship. Hopefully,
I will find you, and I will write you. No.
No.
All right.
I hope that
denied.
A taken joke. No, that's what he does. He says that Taken is now retroactively in the new DCU.
Oh god.
Liam Neeson is actually a superhero, which explains Taken 3.
Well, more like Well, Brian Mills in general, yeah.
Brian Mills is actually
you watch the TV show, you instantly understand why he became.
I never watched a TV show, but I did.
Better than the sequels. No.
The TV show's better than the sequels. Okay.
And I'm just saying a lot.
I think I saw Taken 3. I was like, oh, it's The Fugitive. Okay. It's The Fugitive with Brian Mills.
What do I know? I've seen all those movies way more times than I should, just because they're on TV all the time.
Another thing, I remember I saw Taken 2, and I was like, I have to show this to my roommate.
And they can't escape it either. Like constantly, I would hear him being parodied, like in various movies and shows. Like I think there was one Whose Line skit. They're doing one of the musical segments, and they always like to pretend like they've just interrupted a broadcast. And it's like, we will return to Liam Neeson in the dating comedy Mistaken in just 2-1.
Sounds like something Robot Chicken would do.
Right, yeah. I'm definitely surprised they haven't done that. I will want to know who the hell this is on the other side of the phone. Who is it?
Yeah. Honestly, for James Gunn, I mean, I'm not the type that
Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, I like Dawn of the Dead. That's a good shit. That's really good shit. But for me, I don't know, James Gunn, I'm not the type that I'm going to jump on the James Gunn boat and be like, oh yeah, he's going to save everything. I feel that people do like that personally. I know. That's why I had to let you drown, Jack. You know,
just
me,
pull the commando on us. Let him go.
No, like James Gunn, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
I could give a fuck about what he said in the past or present. I don't really give a shit.
I don't care what he said.
I don't judge people like that. I don't really care.
No,
but people treat him like he's a savior, and they get that savior complex worshiping going on. And it's like, dude, grow the fuck up. He's a man.
I think
he's gonna do a good job. I know that.
He's gonna do a good job.
No, he shouldn't do a good job at all. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I'm not. But yeah, and I'm not one of those people.
And then Tommy Wiseau will join the Batman. I want him as the Joker.
Tommy Wiseau, that'll be amazing. Like Tommy Wiseau, no,
you're rallying those intentionally.
That's the thing. But like the Batman 3 comes around, right? And they cast
the Batman 3. There you go. Directed by Greg Sestero.
Matt Reeves is ousted from Greg Sestero.
From the studio who remastered the Miami Connection.
But you ever notice the fucking connections that go on every time somebody gets announced for some shit? They always want to bring up the past shit. It's like, dude, grow up. It happened in the past. It's over. Grow up.
Yeah, I've noticed that where like people will go out of their way to dig up stuff from a decade ago. It's like,
because they work for like all the Perez Hiltons and like we got this covered sites. I had to tell literally 5 people like stop posting. We got this covered. James Gunn has even said it himself that it is bullshit. It is just pulling shit out of their ass. Like, it's not just any shit. Like, it's the complete runs. This is filth. This is stuff that no one should be repeating. That is stupid.
Dude, my
to be James Bond. This person is not here to be this role. Just stop it already. They're just clickbait.
My favorite moment.
I love how Oreo just rubs it off.
I know. My favorite moment was Zack Snyder denouncing geeks and gamers. That was funny as hell.
That was great.
Gamers are responsible for all war crimes.
I completely when he denounced that, I was like, good.
He's like, yeah, I'm not affiliated with them. I'm like, damn, that's good shit. And then they're like, damage control. We're trying to actively get in touch with him to make sure it's not lying.
It's like, and then the thing is, like, Zack Snyder has always been like very open about how he appreciates his fans and their support of him. And so if he's, and that's something I appreciate about him, like he acknowledges and supports his fans. So if he's telling you that he's not affiliated with you, it's like, given the way that some of his fans act and how he will be in their corner, if you're being so bad to a point where he won't even be with you, it's like, you must be awful.
Dude, I saw a clip. It was actually a screenshot from the chat he was in. Somebody kept spamming Charlie Hunnam as Green Arrow like 15 times. And I'm like, what
so
the
many
fuck?
people have been trying to get Charlie to be in various roles. And I'm like, have you, I mean, okay, so you've seen Sons of Anarchy. He's not the best part about that.
He was okay. He was okay. He was okay in Crimson Peak.
I thought he was terrible in that and Pacific Rim. He just doesn't have any.
Pacific Rim.
I'm narrating this movie.
That was a good fucking movie. I like that shit.
Which one? Pacific Rim. Yeah, Pacific
Rim. The Gamron movies they're referencing.
Pacific
Uprising
Rim
was so bad. It was good, but lackluster good.
I will take the sequel over the original.
Yeah, I will too. I prefer Uprising, actually.
Oreo, I'm more controversial than you ever want to be. All right. You want to play that game?
I just did.
Well, let's keep playing that shit. We're in DC. Give me a good controversial take.
Schwarzenegger's a dynamite, Mr. Freeze.
I agree.
This is why we get along. We respect each other. We know we're gonna do.
No, Schwarzenegger is Freeze. He's funny.
Okay. Oh wait. I have a controversial DC take.
I will respect whatever you say.
Okay. Wonder Woman 84 is a fun, good movie.
Sure.
I liked it. That was nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I saw so many people hating on it, acting like it was one of the worst, and I was like,
I know, and it was all about her flying. It was all about her flying. That was the funniest part.
Flying? Like, she flies in the comics, right? Like,
I know.
Yeah,
she's supposed to do that.
Really. I'm like, say whatever you want about the movie, but like Patty Jenkins seems like a legit cool director. Like, I thought she did really good on her miniseries. I'll Be Alone in the Dark or whatever it was called. It was a true crime thing on TNT. And it got and Monster was a good award.
Yeah, I liked Charlize Theron in Monster. Yeah, like
she did Monster.
Yeah, she did. That was her first movie, I think.
Yeah, that's and then director Patty Jenkins. And that was like her. So quickly. They always just want to harp on the so-called director. They want to instantly say, "You did a great job," and then, "Oh, you did the worst thing in the world with this sequel." And it's like, you do realize. And now they're trying to push back this sequel. I'm like, let them do a bunch more movies. Because here's the thing: while I may or may not like a certain set of movies, I believe that everyone has the right to continue doing what they want to do. And I also don't think that I don't understand why people think they instantly accept or reject, and it's just like, why are you writing them off? And
people
now why
think
are you
they have control over their bubble. They think that their bubble extends over this shit, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm squishing you with my little fingers. That Kids in the Hall sketch. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
like, you little tiny. I'm just like, bastard, don't be like that. Just let it go. Let it go. I'll do 5 of them until it doesn't have any box office return. I don't know. People.
I am happy that people are realizing that MCU films are getting to be bad.
Well, yeah, even I'm like,
and there's still some guys who will, blink them off.
Oh my god! What's funny is like, I'm a fan of both universes. Like, I've enjoyed both things.
And then there's the ones who do the whole, like, this is a real movie versus this isn't a real movie.
I don't like.
You don't get to tell people what is or isn't.
Yeah,
you can say you like it or you don't like it. Like, we all have
the whole thing of this Marvel movie isn't a real movie. That's kind of where I draw. I'm like,
I've had free friends who really liked Elvis, and I've had free others who really hated it.
And I get it. Like,
that much. It's a spectacle. It's an epic. So it was going to have as many people who hate it as who don't like it.
And that's the thing. I get it. Like, Elvis,
there's going to be an Independence Day or Titanic level blockbuster each year that will either wipe people out, have them crying, have them say, give it all the awards. Then there's going to be another one where you're like, oh, I only did this for date night. This was a piece of shit. And then,
you know, or like, yeah, like, or even like, yeah, this whole thing. And I only see this in the online place. Like, I don't see this so much like in the real world.
That's why we do this podcast. We want to hear from people around the world, and we want to have a fun sit down while also talking about how to get rid of all the toxicity that is.
And like
that's why I like being on here.
That's why I like you, dude. I like how Oreo's been doing all these fun fights because he's not about just, oh my god,
I don't
ratings and everything. He legit.
I'm not a blind person. I don't blindly follow shit. I'm not one that read that worships the hell out of Rotten
jump
Tomatoes.
Off a cliff with the rest of these idiots.
The Rotten Tomatoes. If I made a list of every movie that I enjoyed on some level that had a Rotten Tomato that had like a bad tomato score,
like be dead.
No, the thing, it would be a long list, and like there are several movies that had positive tomato scores where I watched and I was like, that was the most boring thing I'd ever seen.
Exactly.
It's like,
anytime it's 90%, I know it's bullshit already. But what's stupid though too is half the movies you don't know if they've collected all the reviews because it was so many years ago, and because half the movies that have like a 50 or 60% generally have a pretty, like, you go to any TV guide or your cable TV station when you're setting the DVR to record, it's got like a 3 out of 4 stars, and you're like, okay, first time hearing about this, or maybe it is generally considered a good movie, but it's got an average meh rating on most sites, so I don't.
I can give you an example of that. I watched At First Sight with Val Kilmer.
There you go.
And
it's a popular movie.
I didn't know it was a popular film. I watched it and I was like, subconsciously my brain's like, watch his eyes. And I'm like, I don't want to watch his fucking eyes. And then I watched his eyes anyway. Behind the glasses. And wouldn't you know it, he kept his eyes straight the entire time.
Really?
Wow,
that's a good job.
Yeah. I was surprised. I'm like, this is a good hate flick. I love it. I'll
need to see that because I've heard people either really are into that or they're not, and I just want to see. I want to see more about Kilmer movies because the few things I've seen him in, I've liked.
He's a guy who I may not like as a person, but I do feel sorry for his current condition. And
that's the thing. Like I don't. Yeah, like I do my best,
and at the same time, I'm.
I know. The thing, I do my best to separate like how I feel about an actor or director as a person versus like how I feel about them as an actor or actress. It's like all these people right now going like, oh, I don't like X actor or actress because they said this. I'm like, you're still gonna go see their movie,
and that shit
like still gonna see it.
Well, it's just one of these things of like, look, I can totally acknowledge when like an actor, actress, director, whoever is like a total piece of garbage, but I'll still enjoy their movies. Like
Roman Polanski, he's in my top 10 filmmakers, but he's a piece of shit.
Or like Bryan Singer, horrible creep of a person. But you know what? I still like X-Men too.
I was just waiting for us to go one episode without mentioning this. Damn it. I just can't.
Yeah, I'm the type, like, I watched, when I was rewatching the Marvel animated films from 2000s and shit.
Did you rewatch it?
Yeah, I did.
I'm just kidding.
And I'd see the Weinstein Company logo pop up, and inside I'm like, oh god, fucking Harvey. And then after a while, after like the third film, I was like, you know what? Fuck him. I don't need that negativity while I'm enjoying the film. So I'm just like, I can separate that shit and enjoy what I got. I don't give a fuck what he did. Fuck that. I'm watching a movie.
Like I had that when I watched Spy Kids.
You must hate everybody.
I hate everybody equally.
I had that. I had that when I watched the first. Like I rewatched Spy Kids about a year ago.
Oh dear.
And no, I liked the movie. and then it's and then like, oh,
I'm so sorry.
I'm not getting into that argument, but like I saw that, yeah. But then I saw like the Weinstein's names were on, and I was like, oh,
yeah.
I still, they were on they were on so many movies. It's impossible.
Yeah,
it's like
everywhere, and then disappeared.
They were everywhere, and it's like
that was like all of 2000s, basically.
Yeah, like they were in charge of all of the prestige dramas of the 2000s, and so it's like you can't say like when people say I'm never watching a movie with X person in it. I'm like, okay.
You have a sad life then. So
your choice. Your choice. I mean, it's like Gene Roddenberry with Star Trek. Like I found out some stuff about him recently that's not all that flattering. I'm like, like I'm still watching Star Trek. TNG.
Have you seen Earth's Final Conflict?
No.
Oh, you need to watch that show.
Earth's Final Conflict?
Yes.
He's going into Roddenberry territory. We will definitely do Roddenberry specials.
Yes. But we're doing DC and we're veering off the rails again.
Only DC would, or Marvel would cross over with all these other things. And then I want to see, just you wait, Paramount and Disney will decide we're doing Star Wars versus Star Trek. And half the people are going to say that's a terrible after school special, and the others are going to be like, that's an amazing movie.
Maybe I would like that crossover, but honestly, there's way too many mechanics for it. It's too much mechanics to go into that, honestly, because you have to figure out what's going to work, what's
Shut
not
up, Oreo. We got to do this. No, just kidding.
I mean, we could next podcast, we should talk that. A hypothetical Star Wars versus Star Trek.
Star Trek versus Star Wars.
Well, no, because I follow Who Would Win on Twitter, and they do a lot of versus matches. And there's a lot of ones that I like. Yeah. And
I'm not being sarcastic. I legit love this.
Man, I love that that's a legitimate thing. Because like
I've interviewed most of them on here, and we're still gonna have that James Gatsby interview happen soon. What's happening?
No, I don't know. For me, like, I think the whole idea of like a versus deal, it can work as long as you give me a reason why
just
they're
organize
fighting.
It, yeah.
It's like just what I don't like is here's a movie where a bunch of people are fighting for no reason.
No.
Like
that, or trying too hard, or don't do what they do in stuff like Iron Man 3, where it might work as a comic, but it just doesn't work as a movie. Like, don't have them, you want to get even because you tricked me years ago at a gallery or something. This is like, come on. Do you realize how dumb that sounds?
See, and again, the funny thing is, like, whenever I watch that movie, I just think Guy Pearce is doing an imitation of Jim Carrey's Riddler in that opening scene.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, that's what it is. Like, I feel like again, people would clown on Batman forever for like being this dumb movie, right? And then every single movie that like does that character, like the person who's jealous of our hero, they're copying a little bit from Jim Carrey. Like in Wonder Woman 84, I like that movie. Kristen Wiig is like Edward Nygma in a skirt in that movie.
Yeah.
It's like it's a good performance. It's a really good performance from her. But that's what I thought. I'm like, look, she's doing her version of this, and it's a good version of that. And Iron Man 3, it's Guy Pearce doing his version of this.
Yeah.
Like, and also I just like the whole. For some reason, I've always loved the storyline of like friends turn to enemies,
and then they turn into frenemies.
Shakespeare inspired, but when it gets to be like just get off your rocker, then it's like, okay,
well,
I get it.
But yeah, I just
and then it all goes all the way back to Civil War itself,
where it's like, or even
the original Civil War from the 1800s.
Oh,
not the comics.
Wow. For a minute, I legitimately thought
not the actual Civil War, which lasted 5 years. There you go.
I thought you were talking about the comic there for a minute.
Well, that too.
What are you talking about? No, just
real Civil War. No, but yeah,
Sure, I want to know.
But yeah, like just that whole concept of like jealousy between people.
Wait,
and how
jealous?
Yes, I am. Haven't you noticed? and like just how that manifests. I feel like you can tell really good stories with that, and I hope that they keep using.
I'm just kidding. Yes, you can.
I hope that they keep using that in comic book films and shows. Just keep expanding on it. It's a good idea.
I hope there's a Batman adaptation where he gets arrested for being a groomer.
He loves to see how he can make Batman be a pedophile.
It's the trick. Well, look at all the Robins he's got. All of them have the same haircut.
I think he's just bikers.
Same age. Always the same orphanage.
He opened it up. I followed suit.
You know what?
I don't know how we always get into
I've been blocked by many people over that shit, even the official Batman account.
Oh, fortunately, I have a sense of humor.
I'm like, he's a fucking groomer. Like, how do you not see that?
Do you have any 18-year-old girlfriends? He's like 50-something years old.
You know what?
Right?
See, that's why they made Robin 30 in the Schumacher movie, so that they.
Oh my god!
My parents are dead. How old are you? I'm 30.
I don't know what's so funny in the joke. The way it's stated, or Kevin lives in the shower.
He's a 30-year-old man being taken in by a 50-year-old man, and the movie.
Oh Jesus!
And then the end credits pop up, and it's Chris Hansen.
Shut up! Oh my god! Oh, if it does that, then this movie already
I'm
gets
Chris
a 10.
Hansen. Why don't you take a seat? I was like, oh shit! It's the Catch a Predator universe.
Oh
yeah!
Have a seat.
That would just be the most dramatic shit ever in theaters. It'd be so cool as hell.
That is bad. I love
it. The best post-credit scene.
Yep.
You asked for it. We gave it to you.
Where are you taking me?
And then he goes into DMX mode. X gonna give it to you. Okay, so now that I have killed Kevin from laughter,
okay, I'm here.
This has been Owen Dynamite Chat, and
God damn,
all together. I mean,
nice.
Where can we find you on the interwebs?
Okay, so you can find. All right, so you can find me on Facebook.
We can actually find you. Oh.
Yeah, well, you can stalk me. You can. You can clearly. I can tell that Oreo wants to plug his Pornhub account. So, you know, but no.
But you're on OnlyFans. It's okay.
But no, you can.
Oreo does him, man.
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Allegedly.
At this point, you can. Kevin the Critic I'm on Twitter. I'm at Kevin_the Critic. I love talking about movies.
Maybe
I love talking about movies, TV shows, anything in the entertainment industry. Kevin the Critic on Facebook and Instagram.
Ooh, yeah.
And you can read my full written reviews of films on my blog kevinthecritic.com that has links to all of those social media accounts. So give me a follow there if you like.
Bad. Anyway, Oreo, what are you working on next?
What do you do?
Well, you can find my sexy ass on the best website ever. It is known as angelfire.com.
Only fucking real.
You're not on OnlyFans?
No, I can't afford
the
that
only
shit.
fan of OnlyFans.
Nah, you can find my ass on YouTube as Oreo Brewer.
Uncovered.
You can find me on Twitter. SW, the Draken Saga, all one word. And that's about it. And all I'm going to be uploading is movie reviews, and the next book review I got is Civil War from 2006 to 2007.
All right.
Where can we find you, Sully?
Oh, alive and well on Instagram, Twitter, Podbean, Anchor, the Shacked Up Review Show,
xnxx.com.
Yes, there you go.
That's where all the that's where you post all your spicy hot takes.
That would be
right?
amazing if that's where most of the audience is coming from.
I found Spider-Verse on there in Spanish.
You found Spider-Verse on xnxx.com?
Yes.
Did you see that one report where one person was arguing about why there weren't subtitles offered for any?
For what?
Yeah.
Subtitles are you what?
On one of those. Yeah, on one of those sites.
Someone was actually arguing about
that is hysterical. Someone wants closed captioning
there
for
are
that.
deaf people in the world.
I can only imagine what the subtitles read as. Oh, yes.
Passionate, squelching noises.
Indistinct sound effect.
Oh.
Squishing sounds intensify. Clapping noises intensify. Clapping noises continue.
This has been a presentation of Roger Corman. No, just kidding. Cinemax.
Only on Cinemax this summer. And then Showtime in December.
Oh my god. I had bootleg, motherfucker.
Oh
man, but it is funny how that blogs are still a thing, Blu-rays are even still a thing, streaming's even still a thing, and yet
you know what's sad though?
The world's everywhere with everything.
There's a lot of shit that's sad, but no. When I ordered Steelbook, when you order Steelbooks from Best Buy that are exclusives, they don't have DVDs anymore.
Best Buy?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did away with
Best
that
Buy
after.
Is ripping you off, my dude.
Yeah, they did that. They quit after Rise of Skywalker. Actually,
they've quit after so many things. That's why I don't use them. The keg is a lie.
I love DVD.
Yeah,
DVD.
Yeah, there you go. We start beating our chest. Or DVD. Give it to me.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up